Good evening, everyone, and welcome to November 12th, 2025 Alton Board of Selectmen meeting. Can I have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. All right, do we have any amendments to the agenda this evening?
Mr. Chairman, I don't necessarily want to amend, but I do want to let the board know that I did get notification that our IT manager was stuck in traffic. So number 2 is a new website proposal that he was planning to put on. If his board is okay with it, if he has not arrived yet, he asked if we could push it to the end,
Sure.
if that would be okay.
Yeah. All right, seeing no changes to the agenda, I'll take a motion to approve it.
So move.
Beautiful. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes. All right, announcements. The public participation policy applies to all selectmen meetings. A copy of it is on the back of each agenda, posted outside this meeting room and on our website. I have public input, limited to 3 minutes per person on agenda items only. Seeing none, I will close public input. We have no appointments this evening, so we will jump right into new business. Number 1, trustees of the trust funds land sale request.
Good evening.
Howdy.
I need to introduce myself.
Yeah, you guys.
Just push the button on the microphone.
It's right. Tom Divney, I'm the chairman of the trustee of the trust funds. And I'm here to talk about selling a couple pieces of property that are owned by the Clough Moral estate. Mainly I'm here because I've never done this before and I'm looking for guidance. And I also don't, while we are the managers of the trust, I don't believe we really have the authority to, well, we do have the authority to sell, but it's town property, and I believe we need the input and guidance from the selectmen.
Sure.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so I did a little research with legal leading up to this meeting too, so that we could get some guidance, because it's a new one on me too. Right now, the guidance that I've got so far is that they are getting a game plan or travel path that we need to take. There was a mention that this could possibly require a court order. Even though there's some authorities through this trust, I sent legal a copy of everything you sent me. But he wasn't quite sure whether or not we wouldn't need some court authority to exercise that, right?
In
Protect the town.
There was another piece of property was sold a few years ago, and that actually did go to the Supreme Court, and we were granted the authority. So.
Yeah, so I think that they're just vetting things out right now, so no matter what, we are gonna, he did, the last communication I had, because they knew we were gonna talk about it tonight, was to just stay in the action until they get back to us with a full game plan. One of the other things that got raised as a course of this, and I sorted this out with legal too, is one of these pieces of property on our town GIS system is listed as the Clough Moral
Actually, both of them.
Forest. Yeah, as the forest. But there is nobody knows how that came to be about, because that has to be an active town vote through a proposal to declare something a town forest, and that never occurred. It was just somewhere along the lines, somebody decided to call it that, and so legal did say if there's no correlating warrant article, which we haven't been able to find one, that has occurred that caused the town vote to make or attach that to this town forest, no identifier to these pieces of property, then it's not legally a town forest, so.
Okay.
That was one thing we did look through.
All right. So we have to wait for legal to look through this?
Yeah, so legal's gonna give a path to go forward, for the trustees to follow, to legally sell this piece of property. I think right now, what would be an appropriate discussion for the board is how you folks feel about the idea of selling the land, whether
that's what I was
we
going
do
to
it.
ask.
Yeah, so I think that's a discussion that, you guys.
What
can have
warranted
with
the idea to come up with selling the 52-acre lot? And where did this come about?
Well, my understanding is that this has actually been talked about over a number of times over the years. And prior to me getting involved, actually, when I first got involved with the trustees, I do recall something about them wanting to sell this. And memory from Roger Sample, he remembers we wanted to sell it, and I did actually find documentation that they wanted to donate the one parcel that we want to donate, but for some reason, it just never happened. We were actually originally approached by the Conservation Commission to conserve both pieces of property. However, after Gene Young left the meeting, we discussed it, and a vote was taken, and the vote was to sell the 52 acre and to donate or conserve the 41 acre.
41 acre. Okay.
What is this zoned as now, do you know?
I believe rural, but I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's, oh, is it on here right here?
It might say it.
I wasn't sure if it was, because it's off of 4 Point Road, so I'm not sure if that's in the Lake Shore residential.
It may be. I would say it is in the Lake Shore.
I think it is off 4 Point.
Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah, it's close.
In there. I would think it's in there,
So a buyer likely would develop this.
more than likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how, does it appear? The other one that's attached to the trash swamp area, that seems pretty wet. Is
It
there a
is,
big
yeah.
one?
It's wet and it's sloped.
Yeah, but the 52 acre one, is that,
That's
or to that, or is that
high and
an upland?
and it does have a few like buildable areas. It is also fairly steep, but it's not anywhere near 25% or.
Is this the thought to do this just to generate revenue, or is there a reasoning behind?
I guess primarily to generate revenue for the trust fund.
Yeah.
We do have a Clough Moral Fund that went along with these properties that's managed.
Right.
And that's the fund that it currently has almost $1 million in it. And we can spend interest only out of that.
Right.
But it generates, you authorized the use of the Clough Moral Fund to do the entire HVAC system here. It was like 220,000. And since that's been installed, we're back up to like $56,000 worth of interest. So that's a good
It's the,
accruing investment.
it's the highest funded
Yeah.
trust fund.
And then according to the last will and testament and everything, this is all part of the Moral Clough Fund.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, the understanding here is, I mean, everybody, I know, was it a unanimous vote that you guys had to sell it? Once it's, I mean, you understand that this is, just like Ryan, Mr. Heath stated, this is probably gonna get developed, right? It's gonna turn
Yeah,
into
I
something.
mean,
Once we
I'd
sell it, once we
like
sell
to
it.
see them both get conserved, but, you know, it just after talking with the other trustees, it just seemed like this was the way to go, and actually,
This is all around the trash swamp area.
yes. Yeah, the one portion is actually adjoining.
Yeah. The one, not the one that's for sale.
No,
The
not
other one.
the other one,
This is on the other side of it.
Yes. If
So
it
the
was-
41 is still part of the swamp.
Yeah.
Trash side swamp.
I just want to make sure that, you know, the understanding is that, you know, the abutters and whatnot, if this does turn into something, obviously, there have been a lot of developments that are going in this town, and there's been a lot of problems with the developments going in this town. So this 52 acres, once it's gone, and once somebody does try to develop it, the abutters are gonna run into the same, there's no more green space, it's going to get developed.
I understand.
But as part of this process, whether it ends up going to, there's definitely gonna have to be public hearings. There's
Oh,
gonna have
God,
to be
yes.
input. We're just trying, with legal, trying to figure out if there's a court, action that needs to take place, just to make sure that we're on solid ground before. That's the only thing they're trying to vet out, but as far as a process of public notification to the public, have let butters know, and things like that. And for all intents and purposes, in that area, you could very well have a buyer who's gonna buy it themselves to protect it.
Yeah.
In that trash side area.
It's very, very
There's a
popular.
very good possibility that might happen.
Yeah, I
Good
thought
to,
about that as well.
52 acres is big, and that is a
Yeah.
very expensive area.
It's important to wait to hear from legal counsel at this point and see what direction that we
That's why I'm here.
properly go with, yeah.
Okay, so we'll wait to hear from legal to see what the next step is, right?
Next step.
Okay.
Okay.
So as long as the consensus of
Yeah.
the board is, I think Tom just wanted to make sure that he brings back there, the consensus is we're gonna press forward with the process and get that information at this point, this time.
You want to, like, if we're on board with it or not on board with it? Is that
It's
what
a
you're asking?
consensus that, the intent is we're gonna move forward with the process, but you guys are gonna get more information, just like the trustees are.
Like I said,
Information
I'm-
this is
through the
gonna have-
hearings. Yeah, the hearings, things like that, there'll be more discussion. I didn't want you to think that this is a decision.
Yeah.
I have no problem moving forward as far as getting information from legal counsel, and that's it.
Get information, I agree with Paul, but I'm against sending it. Okay? No problem.
Okay.
All right, we'll wait to hear back
Thank you.
from them.
Thanks for starting the process.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so as soon as I should have something back with him, at least within a week. He said that they were digging into it, but they pulled some of their land use specialists from the firm to work on it.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we got to skip number 2 for the IT department. We'll move that. So let's go down to 3, proposed tax rate.
Okay, so, there's, paperwork on your table right there in front of you. First one is, tax rate breakdown. So you'll see that, so based on the information that was put into the DRA, the proposed tax rate right now moving forward is 1405, which, as you recall, our current rate is 1298. So, just to go over, in analyzing and talking to our finance manager over, what were the contributing factors to this? So the board's aware, but also more importantly, the public's aware at this meeting is, a lot of what contributed to this is even though we went to default on the budget, every other warrant article passed, totaling somewhere around $3.5 million, I believe. In those warrant articles, which obviously was a big expense. But that solely isn't the problem. It's a combination of what our expenditures are, what the town votes on, but also what our proposed revenues are. But it's based on proposed revenues for the year to come, and our revenues went down. One of the big reasons for that is last year in our revenues, that $741,000 from FEMA was considered revenue. But that was a one-time payment from FEMA that we won't get again. So that's $750,000 worth of revenue that we can't show this year. So you got a combination of the loss in revenue, then you have the high warrant article amounts that the town voted on. The mix of the two caused the jump in the tax rate. And just for discussion, so people understand, like I said, mainly the board but the public, more importantly, understand how this is comprised and how it breaks down. Now, one of the things that we need to discuss tonight is obviously we need to set this tax rate. But the board has options, and that's what we need to talk about tonight. If you go to the last page, there's a spreadsheet that the finance manager put together for me. So what you're looking at on the spreadsheet is the board always has the opportunity to pay down the tax rate. We haven't done it recently in the past. Last year, we were gonna pay down the operating budget, but it failed So it wasn't successful. The years prior to that, the tax rate either level funded or went down, so there was no need to buy it down. So as a result of that, with the FEMA money, if you look down at the bottom in the bold, our current fund balance is $5,112,234. So that means we're just below, just shy of 15%, which the max that DRA recommends is 17%. That's max. They're comfortable right around the 8 to 10% range. So what this spreadsheet is showing you is that in the middle, you got the 2024 rate, then the middle column is how much the board should choose to buy it down. She starts at $50,000 and then goes all the way up to $2,450,000 to show you what that will do to the tax rate. So for us to buy down the tax rate to level fund it at $1,298, we would actually have to pay down $2,450,000 to get that down, which I'm not suggesting that that's a good strategy right now. That's pretty significant. But I think that the board should consider, based on the fact that FEMA money is still sitting in there, and that FEMA money was to go to offset all of the expenses that we pulled together to repair the roads after the floods. That's roughly $741,000 that went in there that was not raised through normal taxation, or leftover, monies through taxation. So even though that fund balance includes the 741, so just keep in mind that overall balance, whatever you take, including the FEMA money, will come off of that bottom line. But that would still leave us well over the 8 and 10% mark that DRA likes us to stay at for our bond rating. So the suggestion would be to stay somewhere in the $1 million to $1.2 million, $1.3 million area. And you see what that does, basically, it takes the tax rate down to the, basically, 1350 range. So you're looking and talking roughly a 52-cent increase versus $1. Well, otherwise, it's $1.06 increase?
So,
So it'd be a million would be, with the new rate would be 1359.
no, if we bought it,
1361, I mean.
1361,
61,
yeah.
that would be a new rate of being 420. If we were to do $1 million.
Right.
I think, Mr. Carter, down at the end there?
How do you two feel?
Yeah.
Well, I think the important thing to not lose sight of here is that you eventually have to reconcile. You got to pay the piper eventually. This is only a short-term Band-Aid. Gets us through the next fiscal year, but it does not, we're still going to face a tax rate that's going to be shocking the following year.
Somewhere along the line, yes.
Mr. Carter, the only thing that will help with that, just to keep in mind, is 2026 is a reval year, which does shake things up. Our reval, of course, you gotta level it out. I'm not trying to disguise the fact that valuations are gonna go up, because, the market, it's gonna equal out with the market rates right now, but it'll probably cut the tax rate in half. So I've been told by our assessor. It's gonna be dramatic because of, obviously, the waterfront properties and values have gone skyrocketing. So that will, if anything, what I'm saying is that it is a better year to do it, where the reval is gonna help us a little bit, rebound, because Mr. Carter's exactly right. You have to pay the piper
No,
eventually.
Eventually you do, sure.
Yep.
It's kicking the can.
Mr. Shea?
Yeah, I kind of wish I brought my Tums with me. Anyhow, looking at what we're up against here, and knowing that we have gone down to defeat, if you will, at least for the town budget in the last 2 years in a row, I wouldn't feel uncomfortable with getting our retained balance down into the 10% area. I think that's still a reasonable place to be. I'm not sure I understand the $700,000 FEMA money. Is that included in our revenue for this year, or is it sitting off somewhere by itself?
No, that's, it was included in the revenues, for this year, or last year, right? Yes,
Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
so-
that's where it went.
yeah.
Gotcha.
It's in your fund balance.
Laura, where would that 10% take us?
Right here.
10%, okay.
3-4.
3427?
That's at 10%. We wouldn't be there even at $1 million. We'd still be at 1.4. I mean, we'd still be at 4 million, over 4 million.
Over 4 million.
Yep.
You'd be at, yeah.
Is this something you need an answer on this evening? Yeah?
We can, yes.
Yeah, you
Well,
don't,
there's a lot of things that hinge on it because they have to get the paperwork, Jen's not her. Just because it just delays when they can get started on the second half billing and all of that stuff.
Well, does it make sense then to do a reduction in the fund balance
Oh,
of,
right,
of $1 million?
of $1 million, you think? I mean,
I don't know how anybody else feels about that. Or increase, or,
I mean, I was thinking the 1.25 just because it brings it to 1350 even.
mm-hmm.
Mr. Carter, I need more input down there.
How do you feel about either one of those suggestions?
So the suggestions were 1 million even or 1,250,000?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. 1,000,000
250,000.
250 would bring it down to, the new tax rate would be 409.
No, it would be 1350. That
No, I'm
overall
looking
tax
all the
rate.
way over to the right.
You're looking at just the
Yeah,
town
it'd be
rate.
1350. I'm looking at just the town. But the 1350 would be the new rate. And then the other one would be 1361
11
for
cent.
$1 million.
The 11-cent difference.
Yep.
And that still keeps our fund balance at 4.5, a little over 4.5 million, is that right? Am I doing my math right?
Yeah, I think so.
4.5? No, 3 and a little over. If you did, you talking about the million or the 125?
If we did the 1,250,000,
Yep,
that would
Bring it
keep the
down to
fund balance at about 4.6-ish?
I have 3.8.
Yeah, 3.8.
3.8.
Just keep in mind too, if you're gonna use any fund balance on any warrant articles, you wanna make sure that you're gonna, you don't dump it all in one spot. If you plan on using any, on any of your warrant articles as well. Because last year you didn't fund anything with it, because it was all in the default and it was not approved, so.
and that still leaves us a pretty solid buffer, even at 1.25, a million or 1.25, it still leaves us with a pretty decent buffer to be able
Yes.
to use some of that if we have to. Mr. Shea?
I think I'm okay with either number.
Yeah.
I don't think we can go to the taxpayers and say, here's a sizable tax increase, and we've got 5 million sitting here that we're really not doing much with other than earning some interest on that probably doesn't keep up with inflation. If these were great times and we weren't looking at increase, I love having a big fund balance, but I think in the current climate, we need to make that downward adjustment, and I think we're still in a responsible position.
All right, I'd like to see the 1.25, what do you think, Paul?
I think the 1.25 is fine.
Gentlemen, are you guys okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, you want a motion for that?
Yes.
I will make a motion, we approve $1.25 million to come out of the current fund balance to offset the tax rate.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So just Just for the record, Laura, do you need an actual tax rate voted on, or is that sufficient enough?
No, I think that's sufficient enough for me.
The warrant later on? Okay, got it. All right, just want to make sure.
Hopefully that'll help some townspeople out.
Absolutely.
Try to help a little.
So there was one other thing I want to bring up in regards to the tax rate for the board to start thinking about now. We don't need to make a decision on it, but I like to give you some food for thought. In the climate that we're in right now, with the numbers that we're gonna be looking at and the budget proposals tonight and this spreadsheet with the numbers that Dick had asked for, I don't know if you saw that, but
Yes.
our overall budget right now, if nothing changes, is roughly about 12.2% increase. It's up about 1.1 million. The other thing I wanted you to think about was the idea, I know that everybody's worked hard, the committees have worked hard to build and put together the CIP plan, but I really think the board should consider stalling the CIP plan for 1 year. Because in reality, part of the tax rate spike was the, couple $2 million worth of CIP contributions, which don't get me wrong, I think we need to plan for the future. CIP is very important, but the reality of it is, we have equipment that is purchased and sitting right now because we don't have drivers, we don't have operators, we don't have personnel. And if we can't hire people and we can't retain them, it really doesn't do a lot right now to buy more equipment or the need to really replace something right here and now. So it's something for you to think about. We don't need a decision on that right now, but when it comes time for warrant articles,
Yes.
there is gonna need to be a decision. And pretty soon, I think the public hearing for the CIP plan is coming up with the planning board. So after it's approved at the public hearing, the CIP chair will be coming to the board to present the CIP plan. And at that time, you'll get a better look at
Sure.
what that plan has developed. I know they've worked very hard at it, and I wouldn't have suggested that we deviate from that till obviously we got hit over the head with the proposed tax rate, because that's not good for any of us right now.
Right.
So something else to think about in conjunction with the buy down to sort of make things a little easier on the taxpayers through this process, so.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, we can move into old business. Number 1, Town Clerk, Tax Collector, Newfound Title Services LLC contract renewal.
Come on, what do you mean, oh? In case they have questions. So Newfound is the current title service that they use down at the clerk's office and tax collector's office to do research, deed researches, tax liens, and I'll let Jen take it away.
Hello. Yeah, Ryan said it. Newfound Title Search does our researches because we have a requirement after we do a lien execution to notify mortgagees or other owners of a property that a lien has been executed. So really, that's what they're doing. They're bonded, and they send out the certified notices. So they're really going to the Registry of Deeds, searching to make sure there's no additional mortgages added to the properties, and making sure that we have the proper ownership as well. We started using them last year before we had a different researcher. In the previous one, we switched because we weren't getting stuff in on time. So that's,
Satisfied?
we have been really satisfied.
Done.
Yep, and they're very communicative. Whenever I have a question or I have deadlines, I'm following up with them, and they've been very responsive.
Addition in the fee.
No, I think it's $1 more this year, but those fees can change when the postage rates change. With the Tax Collectors Association, there's a fee schedule there.
Can't they buy forever stamps?
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. and they have to do return receipts, so.
As long as you've been satisfied with them and you've seen what else is out there and this is what you feel like we should go with, does anybody else see a problem with this? Gentlemen?
No, I would go by the department, see how things are working out, and you seem to be in favor of it.
Very, yep. They've been very accurate. I haven't had a problem that way too.
Mr. Carter, you're way too quiet at the end.
No, I think we gotta do it.
And unfortunately, it's part of the course, but it does get recouped when people do pay off their liens. So we have to, it's kind of like a fronting. We get it back.
Make her the person to execute the contract?
No,
No? Just a consensus, or what do you?
no, vote.
Need a vote.
Okay.
Approve the contract.
Well, I'll make a motion, we approve the 2026 service contract for Newfound Title Services LLC.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Don't
you
go
again.
anywhere. Just stay seated.
I do have a guest speaker.
No, you might want to.
I brought Jean, the moderator.
We'll, Mr. Chairman, I'm still moving the budget now. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun on.
No. Budget presentation.
So I figured since Jim was already up there and we had tabled the elections budget. We didn't table, they approved the clerks, right?
They did.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
just election.
The elections.
Because of the question that we had about
Machines.
proposal for that, so. Jen is here tonight, along with Jean.
Jean? How you doing?
We have the discussion.
Excuse me.
Take it away whenever you're ready.
I think there was just really a question for it, if I understood it correctly. Okay, we'll let Jean take it away, as the chief election
Who's
official.
yours?
Voter check-in. And you guys have all been involved in elections. You know what we go through, checking voters in, the time that it takes, some of the lines that we've had, and so on. And I also want to mention that, at least in all the elections I've been involved in, which at this point have been about half a dozen, despite the fact that Alton is always among the most accurate elections in the state, we still have some errors in our checklist. And they're mostly due to, there are about 3 items that the ballot clerk has to do. Check a box, draw a line through a name, sometimes write in political party, sometimes write in a new address. Somewhere in all of that writing, something gets left out. So there are errors that we have to chase down after the fact. These devices we're talking about go by the name of either poll pad or poll book. You'll see either one. And they're basically either an Apple iPad or a small notebook computer with a scanning device attached to it, so that when the voter comes up to the ballot clerk asks permission to scan the driver's license, for instance, receives permission, scans the license. The electronics brings up that voter's name, all the information. The ballot clerk verifies all that on screen and then proceeds with dispensing the ballot. So that's basically what the devices are. And where we gain is 2 places. One is in speed of checking in. That whole process with these devices takes 15 to 20 seconds versus what we do now, which results in those long lines. And the other is the same thing that we all experience when we go to some website and we're filling out name, address, all of that kind of stuff, and you hit next and it says, no, you can't go on because you missed something. Poll books won't let the ballot clerk continue until everything is filled out properly. So it eliminates those checklist errors that we've been dealing with all these years. So we get speed, we get increased accuracy, and then after the polls close, our reconciling brings to the supervisors the same thing that the new tabulator brought to Jen's work. It makes it much faster, more accurate, the reports print out, bang, 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 it's done. So that's why we feel that they're the way that the town needs to go to maintain or increase the accuracy of our elections, keep them honest and fair. We understand that there are political considerations, which is your department, not mine. And it is a $12,500 expenditure for this year that we're asking for, so, but that's the reason for it, and that's
What's
what
the
the,
what is the maintenance, the cost for maintenance on these devices?
it's 300 per year, per unit.
Is that per election or per year?
That's for the programming, is 300 per year, per election.
So it's 300 per unit per election, or 300 for all units per election?
Court is $300 per unit.
Per unit.
That's the 1,500, if we're looking for 5 poll books. And that's per year.
There's a
Just the court.
Yeah,
Probably
$300 per
support.
unit per year as a maintenance, overall maintenance. And then $300 per election for the programming that goes into that election.
How old are these systems that you're trying to get?
These would be new systems.
Like new for municipalities as of this year or last year?
Was it used last year? Were these used
Other
in other
towns.
towns?
Oh, other towns have been using these for several, there are 2 manufacturers that that the Secretary of State's office has approved. One is LHS Systems, which uses a system based on an Apple iPad. And the other one is
Voting Works.
Voting Works, which is the same company that makes our tabulator. And they make one based on a small notebook computer. They use open source software. None of these devices have any means of connecting to the internet. They do talk to each other throughout the course of the election, which is another advantage because we don't have to ask voters to line up in the A line or the M line or whatever, because any pad can find any person. So they just go to the shortest line and get checked in. But those are the 2 systems. LHS has been in business longer. We lean towards the Voting Works system, one because it's made by the same vendor, and that we think would be an advantage just to deal with one vendor. The fact that it's an open source system just lends to the thought of being open. Here's what it is. You want to look at the software, have at it.
So how many years has this machinery technology been used?
The LHH systems in other parts of the country have been around for several years. Voting Works has been marketing and selling theirs beginning in 2025. Milford and
Claremont just
Claremont
used it.
have purchased.
New Durham also.
Well, New Durham has the LHS system.
Oh, is that LHS?
That was
Okay.
LHS.
What's the life expectancy on these? How many years we get out of it?
I think years, like 10, 12 years, I wouldn't think that would be a problem at all. As long as the software stays current, then there's no reason for it to go obsolete because we're not communicating with anybody else. We don't have to keep up with.
If we were to go a route like this and something were to happen with either the programming software, or the units themselves, is it possible to be able to still go back to the old way we did it before, if something were to happen to these machines?
Very good question. The Voting Works system, that's one of the reasons that we like it, is, of course, all of these, say we had 4 tablets in use. They're constantly communicating with each other. You check in over here, and then you walk in and try to check in over here. This one is going to know you've already checked in. And the other thing that it does is that it constantly keeps a running picture of the entire checklist on a thumb drive on each unit. So that at any time, if all four of them died, you could pull that thumb drive out of there, go to a printer, print the checklist, and go right on with your election. The way that we've always done it, off of the paper checklist.
And the same thing with the tabulator. You can't just put any thumb drive in it. It has to be specially programmed for that, for security.
Is there any potential for savings? Could you work with fewer election workers or anything else that would offset the cost?
Well, most of our election workers, other than those of us sitting right here in the room, and you and your sister are about the only paid people in the whole room during an election.
Everybody else is a volunteer.
I mean, there's like 50 people involved in running an election in this town. And 48 of them are volunteers.
Right, yeah.
Which we ought to be very, very thankful for.
I'll say.
What's some of the feedback that you've gotten from the previous years of other towns and municipalities of any kind of glitches or problems? Have there,
The town we talked the most with was New Durham. They've used theirs for 3 elections, I believe. They've had no problems. They really like them. They wouldn't go back.
any, how do I put this? Any voter problems with people refusing to use a machine? Has that been an issue?
Well, they're not forced. I mentioned that you scan the driver's license, but that, part of the training is to train the ballot clerks to ask permission
Okay,
to scan. If the voter does not want his or her license scanned, then the ballot clerk enters the name in manually, retrieves the information and continues on, looks at the picture, looks at you. Is this still your address? The things you normally go through, and finish the process and go on. So they don't have to scan. But the only thing these machines look at on the barcode on your driver's license, the only thing it takes off of there is the name. So if there's Paul La Rochelle and Paul La Rochelle Jr., it's going to look at the name and it's going to bring them, both of them up. Ballot clerk is going to sort you out, just like we do now, and continue on.
I think I want to also add, yes, you look it up, you don't have to put the license in, you can look it up by typing in their names. That would be what the ballot clerk would do. Then a slip of paper comes out of the machine. Then we would hand it to the next person actually physically handing out a ballot. We need that ballot receipt in order to hand the ballot because they've already been checked. Yep, they're a registered voter, they have not voted yet. So here's your ballot. We hold on to it, and in conjunction with the poll books, we still have to keep our paper ballot, but it's more accurate because now you can recreate all the voters who physically checked in and not have that question, oh, this one is only a check, but there's no cross out on their name. Did they really come in to pick up a ballot? Because you have that slip of paper as verification as well.
Okay, that was informative. Yeah, it was a lot of information, okay.
We
Gentlemen,
had both
any feedback?
companies come and do demonstrations here. We had both companies come and give us demonstrations here. And in addition, we spent time with the New Durham people, and they showed us their entire system.
Well, one more question.
Sure.
If we run into an issue in the middle of an election, is tech support there to fix it?
Yep. And that's another reason we went with Voting Works, is because they have people in New Hampshire specifically for support for all of their systems. And since we already had the tabulator, we have their support. You remember how they were right here with us.
Yep, they were. I didn't know, so it is definitely the same company, same, okay.
Same people.
And there's actually more neighboring towns that are coming on to Voting Works for the tabulator, so we would definitely still have that presence of the support locally instead of someone here and going to Manchester and then coming back an hour later, so.
so in the last several years of this, are you aware of any municipalities, towns that were using the system and decided to drop it?
I do not know of any.
I know of one town, and the one city that has changed vendors to the vendor that we're going with. It was night and day difference, she said. I don't know what the old vendor she had was, but that was her feedback. She wouldn't go back, and she was very happy with their switch. It just might be a conversation. Do we want to push forward through it this year? Or wait in the future? But that's really up to you guys.
Mr. Chairman, if, I was fortunate enough to be invited to witness a couple of the demonstrations, including one that they put on right here at the town hall. I schemed it mentally to think about if I wanted to cheat or fool things, how would I do it? I couldn't come up with anything. I mean, no matter what I said, the representative had an answer. Well, yeah, you can say that, but you get a receipt and the receipt is double checked, and they seem to have everything covered. Because there is an undercurrent in this country, unfortunately, of the idea that all elections are rigged, anything that minimizes the opportunity for that kind of criticism has an attraction. On the other hand, the only downside I can see is looking at our current budget situation. This is an expenditure that in normal times we would probably be universally in favor of. In the current times, I think we're probably in favor of the concept, but we're looking at laying out 12 grand with a tax increase that already is significant. So it's a tough call.
No, I feel the same way, Richard. In lieu of the new tax rate and the default budgets that we've had in the last couple of years, I feel as though that wherever we can save, we should be.
I'm leaning towards getting them, and the only reason I say that is, we've all been at the elections, and we've seen the amount of volunteers that it does take, and anything we can do to alleviate some of the stress and some of the things that they have to do would probably streamline the process. I mean, the grand scheme of things, these will be kept for a duration, for a long amount of time.
I see your point. I just,
I know what
I don't see, why we couldn't wait one more year,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Mr. Carter?
No, I agree. I think I voiced it at the last meeting. I don't think this is the year for us to be spending this money.
Okay. All right, so the consensus is to not push forward with the machines, right, gentlemen?
Yes,
Yes,
that's the way
so-
I feel. Yes, putting it off another year, I think would be a good idea at this time.
You guys remember when we're there at 1 o'clock in the morning that
Oh, I know, I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think this machine's gonna get us home any earlier.
No, that's the tabulator.
This just gets people in and out the door
And hand
faster
count,
during registration. There's still gonna be the other
It
problems.
will help the supervisors with their work, but it's primarily helping with accuracy.
Yes, yes.
Rest assured, you'll see this again.
Oh, yeah. No, I would just like to.
we would encourage that.
Can I also add, though, just for future tidbits, it'll make absentee ballot processing a lot easier. The moderator and his assistant can go to one of those tabulators and then mark off the absentees and then do the process that way. So you're not interrupting any lines. That's just something for the future.
Just to throw out a question for the board, knowing the position the board has taken now, are you consensus-wise in favor of the concept of the idea of some way, somehow, we find a different funding source that wouldn't include increasing the operating budget proposal? I'm not saying I got a solution. I'm saying if we did find a solution, is it something that you'd want to see back with
Well,
a,
I'd be
with a
curious.
third funding source?
I'd be curious where the alternative funding source would come from and what that would take away from whatever its intended use was for. But yes, I think generally in favor of it, but want to see where the money would come from and
I
where
would
those
want to
funds.
see a delay for a year, to be perfectly honest with you. I'd rather see a delay for a year, not search for funding at this time, and see where we go next year.
Okay,
That's my opinion.
fair enough.
I would say, it all depends on what that alternate is.
Exactly.
Of course, yeah.
The way I
If it's
put it out there,
Ryan
did
Heath
it sound
Strauss
like I
on
was
the
money
board.
laundering or something?
It's just, it's a great idea. Don't take it the wrong way. It's just wherever we can,
Oh, no, I
wherever
totally
we can
agree.
cut back in every department and help out with our, tax rate and our taxes and the townspeople, that's where we need to be. And, by all means, next year, if things look a little bit better, I think it's a good idea.
Present it.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you very much.
So I'll make a motion to approve the 26 budget for election and registration for the amount of $20,207.
That's deducting those machines.
That's taking out the 12.5.
That's, but leaving $1 in that line item, so
Okay.
it doesn't
Right.
get closed. Yeah, I guess that's my motion.
What did you come up with for a total?
I came up with $20,207.
Laura, I'm looking
You want
at
to
you.
check my math?
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you again. I don't think I have anything else on the agenda.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Gentlemen.
Thank you.
Gene, next.
We'll do library. The ladies are waiting patiently. You're gonna be here all night, Seth, don't worry.
You need another pen?
But libraries should be in this packet, not in your book.
Oh,
Should be in the
not.
packet, no.
Around 45.50. Does it cost anything?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have an extra one? Yes, for. Oh, yes, yeah, I'll have Stacy make a copy, but thank you.
Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Thank you. I'll just
Start right
out-
in.
I'll just start out by saying that the letter that I just shared with you is in response to the fact that as of December 6th of this year, it will mark my 30th year serving as library director. And I've chosen to retire at the end of the year, even though it's been an honor and a real pleasure. I just think it's time to start another chapter. So the trustees had my opening out on the New Hampshire job line, library job line, and they had 6 applicants, very well qualified. And this letter before you reflects the person that they've chosen to become the, well, we would like to bring her in December 9th and let her transition in, and then she would begin as the salaried position as the library director as of January 1st.
Okay.
So And what that actually does is that will decrease the full-time line by $6,287. The young woman that's coming in my place is going to be starting at 60,000. She's accepted the 60,000. We've left in the merit potential for 4% increase as recommended. So that total request for the first line item is 62,400 rather than the 68,687 that you see before you.
Okay, could you repeat that? 62,400?
Yes, the
Okay.
total would be 62,400. So that's a decrease of the overall line by $6,287, right at the top.
Hate to see you go.
Oh, thank you.
And obviously with
Thank
your
you very
recommendation, clearly, I mean, clearly you know what you're talking about.
Thank
Did
you.
you meet with all the candidates?
I did have the opportunity to sit in on the interview process and just be there to answer questions. But they were very thorough. They've worked very hard, and she's very qualified. And she has a lot of experience running a small library, very much like what we currently have. So I think you'd be very happy with her.
Is she from New Hampshire?
Yes.
Okay.
She currently is the director at the Belmont Public Library, and she does live in Loudon. But she's been with Belmont for 10 years. Prior to that, she was with another library for 10 years also. So she comes with 20 years' experience as a director. So
Very
yeah,
good.
we feel that she'd be a very good fit.
Certainly sounds it.
Yeah, take your recommendation.
Well,
The letters of recommendation were very kind to her.
yes, she had.
She'd be hired in a heartbeat if
Yeah.
they applied at her.
She did have stellar written references, and HR will have a file with all of that. If you would like to see her resume and her job application, it was the same job application that the town uses. I just changed the letterhead to reflect the library. But all of that will be in her file.
Very good.
You get to
Excellent.
see it.
To say, as a frequent user of the library, it's just going to be strange to walk in there and not see Holly.
Well,
And-
I will be around. I promise to be around in some capacity, but
Okay, we're going to
it's
hold
just
you to
kind of
that. Yeah.
stuff.
Take a step back.
I'll see you.
It's like everything's pretty.
I don't see any problems. Gentlemen, do you see any issues with the proposed budget?
The only thing I wanted to ask was the contracted services.
Contracted services is a new line.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have that before, although collectively as a board, you did approve it last year,
Yep.
but of course, we went into default, so it's being introduced again. What this largely is, contracted services that have been in the building fund, building expense account, and we just moved it to contracted services. The only new thing that's in there that is the IT contract that we
Okay.
have, that's been added in. So you'll note that because we added this line item, the building expense line has decreased because we moved things over. Mhm.
Any other questions for them, gentlemen?
Well, I did notice that your expenses to date on many of the line items are far below what the budgeted amount is. Is there a balloon or something that pops at the end of the year that we need to be aware of, or?
The line items that I do have somewhat control over, the general expense and books and AV, I step lightly just to make sure I don't go over that bottom line. So, and when the trustees have to, they augment some of those lines.
Well, other than that, I only see it's just shy of a $12,000 increase, I think. Or just, I'm sorry, just over 12,008 roughly. No, I think I'm fine with this.
Okay. I will entertain a motion, gentlemen.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 budget for the library fund for the amount of $172,178.
Can you repeat that amount, please?
172,178.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, budget.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
What was the total that you
The total was
Yeah, right here.
172.
178.
Thank you. Who we have?
DPW and fire.
Well, I could do all of mine first.
What's all
Make it
yours?
Wait, there's a
you
bunch
have?
of admin budgets in there too. No,
Alright.
I'm just kidding. No, it's, yeah, Josh isn't here yet. Let's do the chief. He's only got a couple. Seth is still the,
Fire.
you wanna do the ambulance one first? It's up to you, but I just put it-
Ambulance first. It was 9,000.
it's in this
Oh, it's in this.
The ones that we're going over should be in the pile.
Yeah, I didn't file them yet. No, I left them out.
He's not a good student, Paul.
No, I'm a good student. I'm
I'm
gonna
a good student.
first.
I put them in anyway. Then. Yes.
All right, chief, go for it.
Is there a specific line, or you want to go line by line? How would you?
Yeah, we'll
Or is there anything
probably,
that's sticking out that
I
you
would
go?
think you hit any of the increases.
any of the big ones, yeah, any of the
any
increases would be fine.
First increase is going to be on the wages for overtime, requesting 50,000. The 2025 approved amount was 30,000. This is going to be offset with the partial, with the fire department operating budget as well. And I say the easiest, the only way I can come up with kind of an algorithm, because it makes it a little difficult how we operate, was utilizing everyone's earned time, and what that would equate to if everyone was to take off, all the full-timers there, all earned time, vacation, personal, sick time, that is where that's where I get the 75,000 total. 50,000 coming out of the ambulance revolving, 25 coming out of the fire department operational budget. And taking an average of what those full-timers' wages are, multiplying it by, I have approximately 2,250 hours earned that they combine. So if everyone was to take off all that time, hypothetically, that's where we would have with trying to cover with overtime if we could not backfill with per diem staff. Obviously, we have other incidents like weather events, busy holiday weekends, those types of events. We obviously need to cover with overtime, but to try and find a way to articulate how we could fund it without just throwing a number against the wall. Obviously, the past few years, it's been a large number for overtime. We do have currently full-time staffing. Obviously, I don't know if you've heard, we do have a resignation, one of our full-time members. So, but part of the increase, or some of the increase for this year, was just getting those 4 new people onboarded, basically. I compare it to like a CTO program with the police department, making sure their skill sets are up to par to provide services for the community.
Where are we at right now for the budget currently for overtime for this year?
Total was about, as of today, 140.
Right? Any questions on that first line? All right, so meetings and conferences was another 5.
About $500, yeah,
Yep.
just, you want to go over all those new
No,
ones?
no,
or-
that's,
Okay.
that's fine. We'll go down to training expenses.
Current budget is 8,500, requesting 25,000. I would like to help offset the cost for paramedic training. Each paramedic course is approximately $15,000. I believe that we would be able to recoup that through our ambulance billing once they become certified. So if we were to help work out an employment contract or a contract for the employees to get the ones that don't have it, full-timers, their paramedic certification, I believe that we could recoup that funding through ambulance billing because we get to charge at a different rate depending on the types of incidents that they handle.
Are you able to structure an employment contract to an individual can't take advantage of the training and then go work for Oakboro instead?
Would be similar to, I know,
The PD has them for
With the-
training like that,
Okay.
yeah, so we could mimic that for the fire department. They call them,
kind of a prorated,
it's a prorated training contract. Usually we used to do it for college courses too. And you could, basically, if the town paid for a college program or, a degree program, whatever, you're obligated for another 2 years or 4 years.
And you have any feel, Chief, or I know this is kind of a open-ended question, but the additional revenues realized because you could bill the insurance people for ambulance service at a higher rate, is that likely to recoup those costs in a relatively short time or several years, or what do you think?
You could, yes. It's incident-based, so depending on what services are provided to the patient is how we bill. So not to get into, they have to do certain levels of treatment in order to bill for a paramedic cost. However, those paramedic costs, that could be paid for in six transports through commercial insurance billing, basically would equate to that.
These training courses for the paramedic
Mhm.
and some of the others, is this a one-time? This isn't something that's repeated 5 years down the
No.
road, 2 years down the
No,
road?
so
Or and not updated? So this is a one-time
Correct.
paramedic?
So their initial,
degree.
just like if someone to get their basic license or their advanced license, it's a one-time fee in order to go through that certification process. And then every couple of years, you have to renew your license, but it's like $100 to the National Registry to get that renewed. But you don't have to go through that initial training again. That's the big cost.
But there is annual continuing ed requirements.
Correct. So in order for any licensed provider in the state of New Hampshire through National Registry of EMT dictates how many hours per year or every cycle that you have to do continuing education, which we can do some of that in-house, some of them they take external classes or whatnot. But yeah, it's not the large ticket item of the, say, 15,000 for the.
Any other questions on the training expense line?
The difference in the cost between what we're projecting here and what we budgeted last year, it must be driven by a significant increase in the number of people that will receive the training.
Number of people and also, are you talking about the bottom line? Or are you talking about just
Just the $25,000.
Correct, yes. I was looking at least help funding 50% of someone's paramedic costs, so it gives them some skin in the game to be proficient in the course in order to pass. So if it's a 15,000, the town would help offset that by 50%. So this would kind of get us 2 possible paramedics, full-timers, through their certification, but still leaving us, funding in the training line for other courses, or if someone want to become an advanced, that's an $1,800 course. Basic is around 12 to 1,300, depending on where you take it, so.
Thank you.
What is the pay bump as well for somebody gets certified as a paramedic?
So paramedic, per the town's wage scale, is an additional $3.50 per hour. It takes about a year to a year and a half for the people to become a paramedic through the course, so I wouldn't anticipate that until the very end of '26 or beginning of '27 for that, with potential of a new wage scale. And I have different ideas how we can address that.
Any other questions? No. I had a question on the special event overtime. Can you explain that to me a little bit?
So trying to obviously reduce overtime, but still compensating people for doing non-shift or non-emergent work, so firework details, events at the school, 5K standby, those types of things. Kind of like a police detail, we would offer them a detail rate to provide fire department or EMS coverage or standby service to do that, which then wouldn't hit the retirement system because it's not included in the retirement cost or is not calculated. So if you're past 2011, if you're Group B or C,
Not to interrupt you, but I don't think that, I'm just asking by labor laws, I don't think if they're working for the town, it still falls under the overtime.
so if I, maybe overtime's not the right detail rate. So my understanding is that if, say, a police officer picks up a detail for a construction company, depending on when they were hired, that's no longer part of their retirement cost.
I guess what I'm saying is the correlation is, as you mentioned, fireworks, you mentioned 5K, those are all town events. Police detail can only be, you're exactly right with that, but it's only to a third party, it can't be to the employer.
Okay, I see what you're saying
If
on
it's
that.
to the employer, we're obligated, now correct me if I'm wrong, that's why I'm pointing at you. If it's to the employer, I think we have to work out some labor law issues for that, because I think we're gonna be bound by the overtime for any hours worked beyond, if it's still the same employer.
Could be. Again,
Okay.
I was thinking detail rate, trying to be creative and not, supplement or hit your budget with retirement. So we can obviously look into that or.
Two other questions, Chief. I imagine that you keep your eyes wide open and pounce on any grant opportunities that come along for any of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, they are far and few between. The big one is the AFG grant that the federal government provides, roughly $300 to $330 million a year. However, it's a highly competitive grant. They average over $1 billion to $1.2 billion in request. The state of New Hampshire specifically has received, I think, less than $12 million since the inception of that grant process. So departments and municipalities, for some reason, in the state of New Hampshire are not big recipients of that. I applied for numerous grants through my other previous employer, and we always score very high, but for whatever reason, it's not funded in this part of the country. But I'm always open for, I'll use the term free money to help offset projects and costs, but they are highly competitive.
And then the other question, we always end up writing off some insurance collectability that for various reasons just doesn't come to pass. Are you comfortable that we're doing everything we can in that regard?
Yes, new legislation is passed that goes into effect in January. Sometime late January, I will be meeting with you folks again in the not-so-distant future to talk about the ambulance billing. The state has changed the way that we can bill for ambulance rides. They're getting away from the balance billing, which, if you had commercial insurance, they would pay X, and then you as the patient would be responsible for the remaining balance, which is a lot of places where we write that off. So the new law is basically stating 325%, your municipality or your ambulance service can charge up to 325% of the current Medicaid rates. So your your commercial insurance by law now will have to pay that rate. No balance billing goes to the patient because it should be a zero bill. The other issue is obviously Medicaid, Medicare patients. We're capped by the federal we can't charge more than that. And the other caveat would be uninsured folks, and then going through the collection process with that. But we have seen about 42% increase in ambulance revenue since 2023. Last year, I think, was a record year for us, at almost 500,000. This year, we're close to, so 23, we collected just shy of 300,000. Last year was 500,000. This year, we're on pace. My calculations will be right around 400 or just above 400 in ambulance revenue, as if the last 3 months bill out, as we have been on track. So we're collecting more money in that aspect. And I have a feeling when the new law goes into effect, we will see a better collection rate as well.
And that all goes into the revolving fund, right?
Correct. Which this comes out of that revolving.
All right,
Yeah, just,
moving.
I'm sorry, I just, to Dick's point, just to reiterate, we do approve the revolving budget, but this is not raised through taxation at all. This is self-funded through the ambulance billing. We approve what's proposed for the year, but this doesn't, this is self-funded. I just wanted to reiterate that this isn't raised through taxation.
Any other questions on that line item? All right, so the next one would be, do you guys see any issue with going down through?
No,
I don't think so.
no.
The ambulance ALS intercept, that's a new one?
So it was a new one, but the board approved, we entered into that contract with Frisbee Hospital this past year. Hopefully, as we get more paramedics on board with us, that will diminish. We have yet to be charged from Frisbee, so we've had a few intercepts from them, but they haven't sent us any sort of bill as of yet. So I think they're still working out their piece of that.
Tell them to take their time. So,
I don't disagree.
All right, so the total right now is $245,002.
Yes.
Is this something you guys want to digest over? Or are you guys trying to make a motion tonight, or is it something you want to digest the numbers?
I don't have any other issues, you know, obviously, everybody wishes things were lower, but,
It's a little over $50,000 increase.
yes. But the fact that, it's paid for by the revolving fund.
Yes.
Is something I think we need to make sure the taxpayers are aware of.
So the one question I do have on the special event overtime line, is that $50 per person?
So I was just trying to come up with a detail rate of $50 per hour per person to cover, thinking more along lines of a police detail. Obviously, you would have to look at more at the, what was that? Yeah, just, again, that's where my mindset was going, trying to, because sometimes it has been difficult getting people to come in and work these details when we do have them, or these events, and then trying to give it something that was not strictly, I was trying to not use overtime the way we traditionally utilize it without impacting the retirement costs. It doesn't come out of my budget.
Right.
So just trying to be a little creative in that.
No,
I mean,
I-
obviously, if
And
we
this
want
would
to.
strictly be with the ambulance fund, for the ambulance, revolving fund,
Correct.
for the ambulance.
Yeah.
It's been, I will say, I'm Paul, I think you were at those too, so, well, I think most of us were. It was pretty disheartening with the last few we had where we didn't have any real volunteers from the fire department. It was a couple of the parades last year, I think, right? There was like one person on a truck or something like that we had up there. Okay. Gentlemen?
Yeah. I don't see anything else other than what we've already discussed.
I would just add to the caveat of this conversation that if the board chooses to move forward with these numbers in this budget, we'll have to develop a detailed policy that will come back to the board outlining all that. And we need to make sure that there's not it does not affect the labor relationship with the overhang. But I just wanted to make that clear before we vote
hear you.
money, that there's a separate policy that would have to go into place, just because we don't have one.
I don't know how you guys feel about it. What's the consensus on the special event overtime? I don't know so much if, I just don't, I'm not a fan of that one.
I think that if we're having trouble getting people to cover, then I think that's something that needs to be explored, and I don't think this line item doesn't sound like it's the way to go. But, perhaps a stipend, some sort of a flat rate, I don't know, but, per event. But, I mean, you'll have to work out those details.
Details.
I would just assume, that $7,500, get rolled up into the wages overtime line.
We could do that too.
That's a good idea.
And that's where I was kind of getting at, that as long as it was under, the consensus of the board was that if we're approving the funding, but we haven't really hammered out the mechanism yet, as to how that is. And I wanted to make sure that in this meeting, the chief and I understood that, so that we could come back with more details on that.
I just wanted clarification that if you're going to do it as a detail, that like the police detail, all of the taxes and everything else are included in their budget and that rate that you get back when you're paid for that. So the town doesn't really pay for it. So this would be a different instance. So I didn't roll any of this into like my New Hampshire retirement budget. I just want that to be, we would need clarification on where is that gonna come from, the taxes and stuff.
I'm having trouble understanding where how the money's gonna be dispersed. I guess I'm having that.
So I think where these questions are coming up, and this is where I was going, is the big difference between what we're calling a detail rate is that the police department is specific to a third party. There's a third-party contractor who's paying the town. So we have taxes, we have cruiser rates, we have everything rolled back in. The fire department doesn't have all those opportunities. They do have, occasionally you get like the half marathon used to come through and they'd want the ambulance stage, but if another third party comes and asks the ambulance to stage for an event that they're hosting or putting on, then that would be more of a detail rate.
Yes.
But some of the events that he's talking about and where
town
it's
events.
raising these questions is it's the town and not a third party. And I
town
think
events.
there's some things that we will have to work out with that, because I don't think that can be a detail rate. I think it has to be another mechanism where if we're trying to attract people, there's still funds here. It's just how we go about dispersing them or how we go about doing it is gonna have to be hammered out through the labor laws and regulations, because, and you're not gonna be rolling in taxes and things like that, because if it's a town event, we're already absorbing that. There's no money coming in from a third party.
That's why I'm
Right,
asking,
exactly.
that's why I'm asking the question of if we approve this and it goes, forward, how do we know how that's gonna go if it's in limbo right now? We're basically given the okay for that amount of money to stay in there with the intent of us not knowing currently how it's gonna be
How it's
dispersed.
gonna be dispersed.
But that's why I was clarifying in this discussion that if the board's intent is to put money in there, meaning it's gonna be paid for through the ambulance revolving fund, but understood that whatever mechanism, after we do some more research, is gonna have to come back in front of this board for approval.
Yeah, but what happens to the money that's in that line item if we don't approve whatever mechanism you bring forward?
Can't be expended.
So the money will just sit in there?
No, it's in the revolving
It's in the
fund anyway.
revolving.
It just sits there. Yeah, it's not like the operating budget.
Oh, in their ambulance.
But instead of that line, possibly moving it over and rolling it over to the,
Yeah, so there'll be
to
no,
the overtime,
Overtime.
put it on overtime line and eliminate possibly the special event overtime line.
because it's a revolving count, no harm, no foul.
Gotcha.
With that one.
Gotcha. All right. Any other questions? Nope. I'll make a motion, we approve the ambulance revolving 2026 budget at $245,002.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was easy.
Yeah, that was an easy one. Here's a big boy.
How's the fire department revolving funds?
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you had to have a little placard on your house in order to receive fire services. But, long time ago.
Okay, there are some documents on the table that the fire chief had updated. And particularly the wages, full-time wages, spreadsheet. And he provided an overview spreadsheet too that was on the table, of each line. So without further ado, I'll let you take it over, chief.
All right, approved, thanks, I appreciate you folks. Big one's obviously the increase in full-time wages. Just over 220,000 of that is for the 4 additional full-time staff members that were approved at town meeting through special warrant article last year. And the remaining amount is basically because of the, a promotion or anticipated promotion for the deputy chief, and then potentially 2 promotions for lieutenants. Those lieutenant positions would not be, I have it calculated at a 6-month mark in July to help us go through a process for either interviewing and seeing what candidates we have and who would best fit in those positions, plus the merit raises involved in that additional $307,998.
It, um, it's important, I think, that the taxpayers understand that this essentially is a sizable restructuring to ensure that we have full-time coverage without scrounging for people willing to put in extra overtime or exhausting people at 100 hours a week. So the safety factor, I think, is significant. And I'm sure if I, as a taxpayer, you look at that jump and you really need to understand what you're getting for your money, because otherwise, I think we will face an uphill battle here.
All right, I have a couple questions. We can address the wages, that sheet you gave us, the spreadsheet you gave us?
Yes, sir.
So if we were just to go down the list at a lieutenant, the first lieutenant, their new wage scale of $29.90, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if they have a medic, that's an additional $350 on top of that, correct?
Could be, yes.
And if they have, what is it, so the other additional down here, it says 4%/250 increase in promotions.
Correct. So I just it was a notation for me, basically, that this wage scale includes the current wages, people that were potentially getting up to a 4% merit. There was a couple promotions that we had discussed amongst us in prior meetings, and then there was a couple people that were still in that 250 scale that we had also discussed. And that's where that's just kind of a notation where this dollar amount comes from.
At a lieutenant spot at $29.90, what is their earning potential if they are completely certified?
Currently at that rate is
At that rate of $29.90,
$29.90.
what is the possibility for them with all of their certifications? Where would that put them?
So that is with all their certifications.
So $29.90 is with that medic already in it?
No, so that medic would be on top of, which I don't anticipate our current lieutenants, there's no way they would be able to get it done in this next year if they were to sign up. So I'm looking at just in the event of we hire a medic per our current wage scale that's adopted by the board in 2022, I believe, that equates to so that 350 for medics currently is not in this 697, 705 total. It's just kind of a notation to say, hey, as an FYI, if we were to hire a medic or someone was to get their paramedic, the current wage scale gives them that additional 350. So in the proposal that I have in front of you, besides the 1 full-time medic currently that we have, that doesn't come into play. I'm just trying to show you that in the event of 27, if we allow 2 people to go through paramedic school and they get their certification, the current wage scale is just showing that it's an additional $3.50 per hour. So in this one, there's only one firefighter medic that's in this, that's getting that $3.50 currently.
And other than hiring someone new, the length of time it takes to get that from scratch would preclude it.
Correct. So
being
you're at a minimum,
consideration.
depending on what program you go through, 12 months. Some of them are up to 18 to 24 months
Okay.
to get your paramedic.
Gotcha.
So that 2990, like, the chairman was asking you, does not include the 350 increase.
If they were to become a paramedic between now, yeah, it could.
Right, okay.
But it does not, because they're
Does
not a
not.
paramedic. They're
If
not
you were
in,
to, what I meant was, though, if you were to hire, say, you know, you do this restructuring, and you were to hire a lieutenant outside that had a medic, that is what we would be at, is the 350 plus the 2990.
so based on our current wage scale, it depend on what certifications they had. So yes, it'd be $17.95 for them to start, another 50 cents for their Fire 1, Fire 2. If they had another Fire 3, that's another quarter. And then their EMS on top of that would be 50, 150, 350. So they would be in probably the 29-ish range coming in the door as a brand-new lieutenant medic for the Alton Fire Department.
So with the new scale, they would be more towards the 30, 33-ish mark, 34-ish mark, correct?
No.
If 2990 plus 350 an hour.
If they were to come in.
That's what
yes.
I'm asking, if, I know where, it's, everything is what if. What if you were to hire a lieutenant that had his medic?
Right.
That's what I'm asking. So it would be the 2990 plus the 350 an hour.
That 2990 is someone that's been here for 3 years, so he's already gone, or several years that he's gone through some raises already. So I'm anticipating someone new in the door, 24. A lieutenant's position is another $3, so you're at 27. So you're right around $30, 30, 50, if you were to hire someone brand new today as a lieutenant medic, correct? That would be the what if,
That's now, right? That's how we have it now.
correct?
And your new proposed one is what I'm asking. So if we were to hire somebody that had the necessary experience, when we were to hire him as a lieutenant and a medic certification with their fire, you know, obviously they have to have their fire too and stuff like that. Roughly, where would that put that? Where is the starting out wage? The starting out wage for somebody that's coming in off the street. I'm not talking about these people that are here right now. Somebody coming in off the street. Where would that wage scale be for a person coming in based on their experience? What range would they be at for a lieutenant spot?
With the medic.
Would you
With
quick,
this medic,
Yeah, yeah.
be over $33, right?
I wanted to see, I couldn't remember what the range was. I was trying to figure out what the range was. I'm trying to gauge the pay scale.
So just so I clarify with this discussion but the note on the bottom of the 350 per hour times 42 hours per week, the 7644, is that in addition to the 697?
so
Or is
that
that
690, I
included in-
should just, for all intents and purposes, I guess for this discussion, I would cross out that medic note right there. That 697 is our current staff. Their new wage would be what's based on what the 4% increase and/or 250, depending on which person it is, from the older model. And that's where that 697 is. So I didn't put names on this. I was just trying to keep it generic. So it's their current wages, current weekly wages. If this budget passes and we go town meeting passes, that would be the approved amount or the suggested amount from the board. So I understand if we were to lose somebody, we would have to look through. I want to propose a whole new wage scale, which we had discussions about that previous in non-public. And looking at what a base minimum for a firefighter EMT coming into Alton is, and this is what our minimum requirements are. And then getting away from like the nickel and diming of the individual certifications, kind of taking the same platform as the police department. Is that making sense? I understand where you're going with it. It would all depend. We don't have like a sliding scale. it's just not, the wage scale isn't built out that way. This is the bare minimum, and then there was no end cap to that, and it would be up to you.
I was asking what your new, what the, part of this new plan is what you're talking about, what part of the new plan was for that. That's what I was asking, is what
Yeah.
the scale would be at with the new plan, or there
So
is.
currently, my until we have further discussions for operating budget for 26, current wage scale as set previously.
There
just-
is no new plan.
There is no new plan. This is only current people at their current rates with the 4% or 250 and/or a promotion or two in there. That's what's built into that number of the 70504. So the 697 is the current wages with one discussed promotion in there, and the other two is a 7644 combined if we were to promote two people in July to lieutenant. That's what that additional cost for the wage scale would be, giving us a 705,400.
That seems clear enough.
And I was just showing if, per the wage scale, if we were to bring on more medics, I was just trying to give more information. That was it, in anticipation of future to come with how we staff and who we would hire and what that cost could be. That's all that medic thing is.
If you could get as many medics as you'd like to have, what would that number of people be?
For full-time paramedics, I would like to see 4. Basically, that would give, maybe 5, but 4 would give us 1 paramedic on per shift and be able to give that level of care without having to call either somebody in off-duty or provide, or get mutual aid from a neighboring department.
So right now, we have 1 medic or 2 medics?
Right now, we have 1 full-time medic,
1 full-time medic.
and then we have 4 per diem medics on our roster.
So that would be, I'm assuming that would be the second highest paid number on the sheet that we're looking at here. And if we took that 37, it would be plus the 350 on top of that.
No. So that 37 is not a medic. That's our
That's
current.
captain.
Which one? Okay.
That's
Which,
captain deputy.
So then you would look at the first firefighter line after lieutenant.
2990.
That is our medic currently.
First,
2897.
2897.
Correct. That would be the new with the 4% or 250. He's a part of that 250. And then the remaining are either advanced EMTs or in the final stages of getting their advanced EMTs. 2 of them are in class, they graduate at the middle of December.
and are you putting forth just 4% merits for all current full-time employees not on probation?
No,
So the ones on probation would get 4% as well?
correct. I don't know if we want to have that discussion now, or? So the way do we have any questions before that?
I just, one real quick
Yes,
kind
no
of
worries.
overview question. Your dollar amount on your spreadsheet that you gave us shows 705,400 for the full year wages.
Yep,
And yet your budget is at 725 for the full year wages?
you should have a new sheet.
You're
There was
looking
a
at a new sheet.
new sheet provided.
Did you get this one, Joe?
There should have been a packet.
Yeah,
So the new request is 698.
okay, so the budget that was in our packet,
Is close, but not exact, so,
but no cigar.
yeah, so
53 weeks. You look at the top left, and we're looking at the 52 weeks.
Gotcha.
So the new request for the full-time wages total is 698,000. I just put an even amount on that.
As opposed to 725?
Correct.
Okay. I like the trend.
Would you go back to the full-time wage line,
Yes, sir.
which was the old line was 3 92 and
Correct.
725. What did you say the increase was? That's a different number than I have.
My increase was 307,998
I come up with 334,998.
from 698.
From 725.
He's going.
Yeah, the 725 is not in there.
Oh, that's, all right, I'm sorry. Right.
So if you go to this,
Right.
this sheet here, yeah.
Got it.
So the
Thank you.
overall increase was
Yep.
307,998. Yep.
Yep. I was falling into the same thing, going back to this and not looking at this. And also going back to what you said, firefighter of the first line after lieutenant, firefighter one, for 2897, that's the one that has the medic,
Correct.
and that's the cut, that's including the medic.
That's including his medic.
That's the medic
So there's
and
no
firefighter.
additional, that's
There's no
currently
addition, that's the 2897.
with his anticipated increase for next year.
Okay.
So that 350, if it's already.
It's already in there.
In there, yeah.
It's in that one.
Just wanted to kind of break it, yeah, that one.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying about giving the employees, the 4% across the board, but we've never given 4% for an increase on,
probie?
On
probationary.
probation, no.
I went through it when I
No,
was,
we
worked
haven't.
at the highway. I didn't make the cut, and I didn't get it.
I would just like to argue, I'm not
Go
arguing,
ahead.
but
No,
just.
no, I
yeah.
got you. Go ahead.
So I think it's up, my opinion, it's up to interpretation of the 4.16 in the employee handbook probation. Every other town employee, basically, they come in as a 6-month probationary period. The police department, fire department have a caveat in there of extending that for 12 months for people that are uncertified, inexperienced. We cannot hire a full-time person that is not certified, and experienced is subjective, I guess you could say. We have one person coming off probation technically on the middle of April. Out of the 4, one's already come off because he was a lateral transfer and the agreement was to put him on a 6-month. The other 2, one is coming off probation in middle of February, one's middle of April, right after town meeting, and the other one is in June. I'm just looking at retention efforts. The current policy affords them a 25-cent increase. For at least 2 of those, they would see a 25-cent increase for basically 2 years. And I understand how those things work with the probationary period, but my interpretation of that is that we hired somebody with no certifications because they cannot get through probation in 6 months. They can't get through a fire one, they can't get through an EMT class in 6 months, so that's my understanding as to why that was put in the policy. That's just my argument to why I feel strongly about. And then I asked Ryan if he knew when that 25-cent rule went in. He said it was before his time. And I'm just looking at like inflation, like I understand like maybe 30 years ago that was inapplicable, or it helped out.
I do understand where you're coming from, but if we do it for you, every other department head is gonna come to us and ask the exact same thing.
But we're the only ones that have this caveat in our probationary period. And my opinion is the interpretation of that is uncertified. We could not hire them unless they were it's state law. So they were put on a 12-month probationary period. My opinion is they could have, they're exceeding the standards. They're gonna not just get it without a review, comprehensive review at the end of their probationary period. So someone misses it by 3 or 4 weeks, and then they're on that for a whole nother year hanging on. When you have somebody potentially that comes in for a 6-month probationary period in June, they get it in their 25-cent increase in December, and then next year they're automatically eligible for a potential merit increase. So I'm just trying to at least make the argument to you folks as to my reason why I think it would be applicable.
What's the ballpark dollar amount we're talking here?
So it'd be, for those 3, it's a 97-cent increase for the 4% merit per hour. 63.55 total for the three of them for the year in additional wages. If we went on their date of hire, two of them roughly would be 2,900, and the other gentleman, who waited his date of hire in June, would be 1,059-ish, so.
That's based on the conclusion of their probationary period and then being
Correct.
eligible for the 4%,
With
which I
no
think is
no
reasonable.
retro, because typically, if they get their 4% after town meeting, my understanding it's retro back to January 1. So trying to just be creative, be cost conscious, and still kind of fight for them, I guess you could say, that's all.
Yeah, I
You're
think
saying-
being eligible for the 4% after the conclusion of the probationary period, I think that makes all the sense in the world. I think getting a 4% increase while you're still in probation, I guess I'm struggling with that.
But I see your point. Two of the employees will be close to their time running up within 3 to 4 weeks. Just two of them?
Yep.
And the other two are what?
One comes off in February 12th was his date of hire, the other two, we're down to three. So February 12th, one's mid-April, one's in June.
Yeah. I think that's the right approach, but, again, it's the interpretation of the handbook, which, which I don't know what that says, so.
So the handbook says, because we're gonna end up having to if we're gonna end up revisiting this for all employees.
We're gonna have to rewrite
because-
it.
Oh, yeah.
Because the 25 cent is antiquated, it's for the whole town. But the way it reads is that for every employee they're hired on, they're on a 6-month probationary
Correct.
period. At the end of those 6 months is a 25 cent, and then they're eligible for any merit increase after January of the following year.
Merit or COLA?
Whatever is set by the board. So the board hasn't set COLA for several years.
Yeah.
It's been all merit.
It's been merit.
But anyways, for the caveat to police and fire, they had it so that if they hired somebody green, because of the specialized skills and training that's required and the certifications through the state, that they had a 1-year probation versus 6 months. That would be waived with a recommendation from the department head at time of hiring if there was prior experience and certification. So to the chief's point, Chief's explained that the difference between police and fire is police has to come in uncertified because you cannot go to the academy on your own without being sponsored by a department. Fire's the opposite. Fire, you can go to the academy and put yourself through it, and then come in, and I'm not even gonna speak to the certificate, because I don't know. That's beyond me, as far as Fire 1, Fire 2, and all that stuff. But to the point of the same scenario for a lot of other employees where they're not being considered, they're gonna hit their 6-month mark, and they're gonna have to wait another 1.5 years for merit. I'm just saying that it's something we're gonna have to address all around. It wouldn't be something we would be able to.
Right.
I mean, the board can choose to do what they want. I'm just saying that
No, I see
I
the
know
potential for a
exactly what's gonna happen with that.
It's a problem.
But not to say that I disagree with the logic behind it, because, it is, these times and this inflation and this cost of living.
Right.
It's rough to go 6 months for a 25 cent increase. Say that 6-month mark hits in June or July, you go, through to the next year before you end up, so it's about 1.5 years before you end up with any sort of merit or increase, so.
Right.
Yeah, I understand the logic behind what you're saying, and I can respect you fighting for the guys. I respect that.
Yeah, I do as well. Um, But that being said, with all our other departments, and the way we handle it as of now in the handbook, we have to consider that as well.
Yeah, we're kind of bound by the handbook here. I mean, we kind of are. It's, no, I mean, if I, like I said. If I
Oh, there's
could-
other things in the hand, I'm just
Yeah, I
devil's
know.
advocate. There are things in this handbook that have been,
Oh, yeah.
in my time,
Does
that
it
the
need a
board
revamp?
is,
Yeah, probably it does.
that gets
Yeah.
waived, or whatever term we use.
Yeah, it should be a living document anyway. You've got to go through that handbook every year and tweak it and tune it and,
So are we slowly settling in on the $698,000 figure?
I don't think so.
This is only the first line of this thing.
First line, that's the big one.
I know, it's a big one, though.
So if we went just based on the, date of hire, obviously, it brings the total increase for those three to my calculation, $3,992.52 versus the $63,555.50. So roughly $2,300.
So how many of these employees are greater than 4%, right? You want greater than 4%? How many of these?
All the people that were in my, are you talking about promotion-wise too, or?
I'm talking about
Just the people.
the people that, how many people are you trying to get with restructuring or what happens?
There's no increase over 4% for anybody. The exception of the three that were in the 250 plan agreement, that whatever, was split up into 2 years and then default, push it back and back. So with the exception of those, there are no increases over 4% for anybody.
Except with the restructuring, correct? So this is where I'm,
This is, yeah. I am not asking for a restructure yet. Obviously, the only thing is the one guarantee, I say guaranteed, the discussion that we had about a promotion.
yeah.
That's the only one, and then a potential for two starting in July, depending on if we have the right people. But everybody else is the same.
right. I just want to, I spent some time and kind of did some math on this, and I took a look at strictly wages only. Of course, with the new numbers, it screwed all my math up.
I apologize.
So I had to do some new math. But what I'm showing is that for the 2025 budget, and I'm rolling in Article 14, okay? Because that's something that has to be absorbed into that cost. Total wages, $1,122,030. Now, that covers full-time, part-time, shift coverage, overtime, and forest fire. I don't know if that belonged in there or not, but it's on both sides of the column, so who cares? The new proposed, if I've got my math correct, I'm at $1,118,795 for those listed 5 items. It's actually lower.
Correct.
What was that number again? 1,000,001?
Yeah, this,
The new one,
That you're coming up
with all the wages.
Yep.
$1,118,795.
Okay.
What would account for that difference?
So we are combining two line items, the shift coverage and the call per diem. We attempted this last year, but we went default, so we kept all the line items the same. With that, just showing the history and the trend of what we were spending specifically in call pay I had reduced that almost 30,000 just in that line as well. I did a recalculation because we lost some, when I first did this, when I did my average for the per diem shifts, it was here, we lost someone who brought down that average here, so I think that was another 20-ish thousand, if I'm trying to go off where that reduction was between those lines, trying to encourage our per diem people to help staff that third position, And that's what that line is intended for.
So where it really shows up, though, is the full-time wages, because you're 708 with Article 14. And now you're at 698. So that's really where all the meat and potatoes are at, is that reduction there. A couple of small ones, increases, but it's the full-time wages actually are down, taking into account Article 14. Laura's over there with a calculator checking me.
So some of it is not strictly wages on Article 14. There were other costs associated, just as an FYI, in that warrant article. It was basically the hiring, the wages, retirement, which came out of Laura's budget, if you will. So there is a dollar amount that is associated, not strictly on
That
wages.
blurs that line quite a bit.
Correct.
So, okay, I suspected that, but I didn't have those exact numbers.
So there, as of right now, with the situation that just happened today, we have one employee in particular that we're gonna go for, that is getting the 4 plus the 250, correct? No.
250. So if they were in the 250 plan, 250 only,
I understand.
4% only.
So that's only 250 for that. Only 250 for that one. All right. Well, we're having trouble pushing through the first line.
Laura, did you have a different number? On that number that Drew came up with for the,
So we'd have to extract from the warrant article what the straight labor, the wages portion of that warrant article was.
Right.
And I don't know what that is.
we don't know what it
Because it
is.
was onboarding included in that
Correct.
stuff, right?
Yep.
Physicals, gear, that stuff.
Yeah, that's a formula, and I have to figure that out. It would take a little bit to get all, I mean, he's like uniforms, I mean, right down to their
Yeah.
physical stuff is in there.
Well, the uniforms and they're all
It's
in
in the
that
warrant
article.
article.
Yes. That's all in that is.
Warrant article was the total
I
cost.
take back all of my defense of your numbers.
I
And
appreciate
I
it.
don't,
though.
tell me if I'm wrong, the warrant article wasn't for a full year.
Correct.
It was only for partial year, so the wages
April
wouldn't even
1st
be.
Oh, I forgot that was prorated
It was, yeah, so it's
out
not a
after the
full.
vote.
So, yeah, your number is probably not gonna be accurate, sorry.
Bad numbers.
All right. do
That
you
was good,
guys-
though.
Do you guys want to continue down, that we can revisit that wages full-time line? Do you guys want to continue down?
Yeah,
I
we can
think
do
we
that.
need to do that,
Yeah.
yes.
We
Continue
should
down.
just go down the line.
Right. So wages shift coverage to 355.
328. So look at that new spreadsheet that was in your
Yes, yeah.
packet. 328.
Budget sheet.
And that's combining the per diem and the on-call wage lines into one.
Okay.
Overtime is up 5,000 to
5,000.
25, which
Correct.
goes in with that 50 in the ambulance revolving fund to bring it to 75. Benefit buyout, it's unavoidable.
That really jumped.
Yeah, it did.
It did in every department.
Because the benefit buyout, the chief and I talked about this because he didn't have the benefit before they had the full-time employees. That's actually holiday. And it should be labeled as holiday pay, like the police department has a separate line for that.
Yeah.
But it was because they didn't have full-time employees until recently, and we've been at default ever since. So
Understood,
that,
yeah.
that number represents the holiday pay for their full-time.
Travel and mileage stays the same. Training is staying the same. Dispatch is up a little. Office supplies actually went down.
Little equipment, stayed the same. Does anybody have any questions on any of the other line items for the fire department budget?
I gotta just scan them for a minute here.
No, because most of them either the same or actually went down. Electricity,
And these were 23 numbers under a previous administration. I know there was an increase back then about, so just.
Yeah.
The only thing I would like to point to is if you go down to employee health,
yes, I'm gonna ask about that.
talking with Ryan. So basically, the reason why I'm asking for the increase in that is to start annual, specifically starting with our full-time staff, testing for cancer screenings. There's a company that comes in and will do it. So it's roughly $700 per full-time employee, or that's where I want to start, employee. Talking with Ryan, and potentially, instead of putting in any operating budget, putting it into a CRF that gets funded every year in order just to make sure that
It's necessitable.
that's in there, so.
And that's not actually a required test.
It is not required. It should be, in my opinion, just
Yeah, the state's working toward that, I think,
are.
but right now, it's not required.
not required. So they are making moves in order to help, I guess, reduce our exposures to PFAS and other things, with, you know, how we have to issue, currently our duty uniforms, and there's a requirement coming down for our PPE that has to be, they're saying PFAS-free, but the companies are still working towards that. So that was one area that potentially, that if we decided, or you decided to put that into a CRF, we could reduce that, I guess, down to a dollar.
I'd like to make sure that it did get funded. I think that's pretty important. Is that the consensus, gentlemen, for that in a CRF?
Seems
Yeah,
reasonable.
that's
I
reasonable.
think it's reasonable.
Yeah, I do.
All right, so are there any other questions on any of the remaining items on his budget? Any other lines?
No,
So in the detail section, though, I did have a couple of questions. The reference to the expenses being related to PPE jumps up a couple of times. So there's a separate line item for forest fire expense PPE, and then the personal protective equipment, AKA PPE. So I guess when I'm looking through this, it seems like there's so many sub-line items with 2,000, 4,000, 15,000 in them. It's almost like it could easily be overlooked that there's actually a whole lot of money in here to go toward equipment, personal protective equipment, the helmets, the eye protection, hearing protection. There was something in here about filling air tanks and does it make sense to have so many different line items for these? I guess I'm asking the board. You know, it seems like there's a lot of overlap here, and that, you know, really there should be a single, you know, personal protective equipment line item, period, not necessarily for forestry gear, because you need it for firefighting. So it's all the same application.
Well, the only way I see that as being more difficult is if they get any federal grants for forestry individually or anything like that. Would that,
So like what the state of New Hampshire provides, because our community is a certain population where we can apply for up to a 50% match through Division of Forest and Lands specific to PPE, but we would have to fund that line it's a 50-50 match up to $2,000 being reimbursed. So we could spend $4,000 getting $2,000 back through that grant process. So we would have to just make sure we would earmark, I guess, if, for that particular line item for that grant, I guess, specific to forestry.
I was using forestry as an example.
But that's kind of a key one.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's helpful to know.
Very good.
All right, so I think we're at a standstill right now for the full-time wage line. I think we should probably table this, gentlemen, so we can digest the numbers a little more.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can-
if I
let's-
could get
we'll do
one
that.
of these updated too.
Which one's that?
You have it
Oh, the
tomorrow.
pay sheet?
Yeah,
I can't, Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm locked out of it
Yeah, okay.
after a certain date, so I can work with Laura with,
Okay.
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 All right, so everything else looks good, except we'll deal with
The
that. We'll
number one.
revisit it. Yep, just gotta digest more numbers, because I had different numbers too. That 725 is still on.
Yeah, same here.
It's just confusing.
Yep.
Are you okay with that, chief?
it's gonna be
Just
six
table it?
ninety-eight. My current request, my current ask is 698.
As long as we know it's 698 and we have the new piece of paper.
Great.
Yep.
698.
I threw away all the bad ones.
I still got it. I still got some in
I tried to
698,
throw them away.
757.
All right.
698 even.
Even.
698.
Like
Right.
even numbers, they just think
698
zeros work
even.
better.
Chief, thank you for your patience and
No,
your
I
time.
appreciate
Sorry
it,
for
and
the crazy questions. We're
No.
just trying to navigate. through them.
I just narrow it down.
Help me out here a little bit. What issues remain on the wages that we're not sure of?
Some of it is the 4%.
The 4% and the 250s, and there's a couple, I don't have I have the 698, but I have an old one of these. just having trouble going through this. We just got I just got that new piece of paper with the new numbers in front of me, like, I don't know, 10 minutes before the meeting.
So those numbers are the same with the exception of the bottom dollar because I had budgeted for a 53 work
Right.
week, 53, yeah,
I
week,
get it.
year budget. So the only changes to the numbers that you had previously would be that total for the entire year budget. So none of the changes that you had previously that were submitted to you for hourly wages, merit, 250s, promotions are changed from the previous document that was submitted to what was submitted or you've had on your desk tonight when you came in. So everything else is the same on that.
It's the same.
And for my own peace of mind, so that I can go through my math exercise again that I love to do, can I find out what the actual wages are relating to Article 14? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, no problem. No problem. Sorry for all the confusion.
It's not confusion. I get confused.
I'm trying to figure this out.
It's a lot to take in.
I hear you. It's a big jump, but it's, the warrant article.
Yeah, it's actually not as big as it looks like on this paper when you
So,
calculate in the warrant
My
article.
calculations, again, I'm not a math expert, when you take out those 4 positions, I think it was around a 6.5% increase overall in the rest of the operating budget. And the big chunk of that was the increase for the holiday pay, I guess you could say, and the benefit buyout was a big chunk of almost 40,000.
Yeah.
So,
I'll talk to you about it later.
The other end of that, just to keep in mind too, because it's gonna come into play when we talk about other ones, but the other end, retirement, insurance, all that's coming out of the admin budgets for those positions, which in the Warren article, it was all lumped together. So that's why Laura will separate that out, but, just to go to your point about those new positions, it's good, it was a big hit all the way around.
There's a ripple, I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, but I think it's important when we get to deliberative to express that, because the town is the one that wanted those positions. And hopefully in the voter's guide, we'll work
Well,
with
it's spelled out
on
pretty
that.
good.
Pretty
You know,
heavy.
it's spelled out pretty good.
Yep.
That is the goal.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, thank
well,
you
thank
very
you, gentlemen.
much.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we have,
Lost track.
Josh, go back to,
DPW?
yeah, can we go to, IT?
Came up the stairs.
Can we go to IT and
Yep.
then Josh can talk about this, we can go back to that internet, to the website
oh,
proposal, if you don't mind. Josh, come on up.
Good evening.
Good
How you
evening.
doing, Jack?
How you doing, Josh?
Good. How you
How you
doing?
been?
So IT budget has a slight increase. Looking to improve security through control, data loss prevention tools. Implemented some new software, which has come with a cost to help the departments manage their daily activities and workflow.
That's quite a jump in the software upgrades.
Yeah. Yeah, software upgrades specifically. So I'm looking to put one foot in the cloud and utilize that as a tool to expand our infrastructure in terms of backups, implementing security tools, and device management through Microsoft.
Just to add under the details of the software upgrades, we did get hit with an overlap from BMSI to the MTS. So there's a residual $3,000 that won't be there in the future, but that was because we had to keep both softwares open until we could merge data. So we got caught in that in between.
Yeah, had to pay for both.
Yep.
And your other line that's a big difference is the contracted services.
Yes,
Where are we at?
that was the last page.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. It was quite an increase. Which, because we didn't have before, so it was only $1, you know.
Right.
That's $2,000 accidental damage coverage per mobile device. How many mobile phones does the town have?
So this is, yeah, those are specifically for cellular devices. Let me see if I can pull something up and get you an exact count.
Only department heads mostly
It's pretty much just department heads. Yeah.
that have smartphones.
The big one is the cruiser tablets for the police department, the $5,000.
Yeah, so
Why isn't that in their budget?
really,
Good question, he says.
we kind of went back and
Saying the
forth with
same
that.
thing, right?
We kind of went back and forth with that. But really, we were supposed to get that done this year, but didn't have any funding for it, so pushed it out to next year. Basically, the cruisers, the tablets in the cruisers don't have encryption modules built into them. So technically, we couldn't upgrade them to Windows 11, which was due October 14th. So I've basically implemented a workaround to get them on Windows 11, so they still get security updates. But we really need the hardware put in these so that let's see if I can get this right, so that they could actually utilize the security features that come with Windows 11. So it's better for the overall cybersecurity of the devices in the cruisers.
How old are the devices in the cruisers?
They're not that old.
No, they're not.
And they don't support the 11 upgrade?
They didn't, unfortunately. They neither had a trusted platform module, which is required, or a supported CPU.
I think those are gonna be at least 5 or 6 years old, at least 6, I think.
Yeah,
Because most of those were changed when they went to Chargers.
right.
But
But
nothing, they haven't had any new ones since we started with Tahoes or anything.
So I'm sorry, so the Tahoes don't,
The Tahoes have tablets, but what I'm saying is the last time that they were upgraded, the patrol PCs, I believe was when I did my last cruiser swap to these 19 Chargers.
okay, well, yeah, I mean, if they're that old, I guess that kind of makes sense. It is possible.
they're right on the cusp of when they were
Yeah.
starting to roll those out to prepare for Windows 11, and I think they just didn't have those added at that point, so.
Yeah, okay.
Not
I
only
still don't
that,
understand why that's not in the police department's budget, though.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It could have easily have been in contracted services in their department. I don't understand why it wasn't. Everything else is there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at it right now. I was just making sure we weren't doubling it up.
so, I mean, I can get it from the perspective of we're literally sending these things out to have IT hardware put into them to upgrade them. So I can get it from that perspective of, it falls under the IT budget then. And I don't mind taking on that job. Honestly, from my perspective, putting $5,000 into these cruiser tablets and extending the life of them as well is a better investment than perhaps replacing them in 2 years. Because these in one whack is very expensive.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any more questions for Josh?
That covered software, contracted services. No, that's about it for me.
Gentlemen down the far end?
I'm all good.
Yeah, I had two questions.
That
One,
was reluctant.
and I think I know the answer to this, but obviously you're budgeting enough so that you feel comfortable that our security arrangements will be adequate to protect the town against some of those disasters you read about in the paper.
Especially with this budget, yes.
Good, okay, thank you. And the other thing, probably a long shot question, but I used to work for a company where instead of Microsoft 365 with their sky-high charges, they used something called Open Office, which worked as well, was absolutely free. Did you ever consider that?
So Open Office, I don't know if they have the cloud resources that Microsoft has.
That could be a difference now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might just be like more software product. It's actually funny, when I first started here, I tried to roll out Open Office as opposed to Microsoft Office. It didn't take too well because people just weren't familiar with it. But this is really more for like the software, yes, so that we can use that in our daily work routines.
Sure.
But also that like cloud, heavy cloud resource that we can tap into to secure things, put in DLP policies so we don't have data breaches, things like that. There's a lot of things that come with this.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 budget for IT department for $210,412.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for
Thank
keeping
you.
us safe from crazy internet insanity.
Of course, anytime. Should I stay for website?
Yeah,
Or?
if it's, the chairman's all right, and the rest of the board, can we circle back around to the new business that was on there about the website update? So Josh can speak
what do you
to
got?
that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what's up?
So the current website and where we're at, I built that back in 2014, and it's past its life, basically. So it's time to replace it. I have a WordPress site that I've been working on that I would like to roll out and replace it with. I think it'll be much better experience for taxpayers. It will be easier for the employees to maintain it moving forward, where everything, not 100%, but mostly everything is funneled down to me to update on the site currently. So I'd like to maybe like branch that out a little bit and give the employees more control over what they can update, when they can update. So I'd like to get your approval to roll out the new website before the end of the year, and get that live.
Get it up and running.
Yeah.
So isn't the current website, it appears to be structured like every other bloody town in the state of New Hampshire. Is that something that was, a handout from the state or something, the format of it? Or you said you created it, but
Yeah.
it looks awful familiar when you look at other towns.
Yeah, and I know why that is. It's basically it was at one time an open source like template, which I took. I had very limited experience with websites back then. I took and then implemented it for the purpose of replacing the very, like the way back alton.nh.gov, if you remember it, with the blue tiles on the side and the white background. Yeah.
How close do you think you are at this point of being able to get this thing released? And, you say first of the year, but are you close enough that you could come to the next meeting and give a demo?
When's the next meeting? A couple weeks from now?
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
The meeting after?
If I invest some
Since
time
we
in
had
it,
to
then
do a
yeah.
month.
I would say a month is realistic, yeah.
I mean, I think I'd like to see a kind of a demo of it.
Yes.
That
Maybe we
email-
can make use of
Take a
that
look at it.
giant thing right there.
There's a link I could provide.
Yeah, the email, I don't know if you noticed, but the email that went out, and it had a link on it that you can click on and
Yeah,
and go, but
really
it's
didn't-
not,
I didn't take
it's
the
not
time.
100, obviously it's not 100%.
Which email?
It was, one that went out with the packets or aside from the packets? Aside from the packets.
Is that,
And it was the only way I could send the link out.
is that
so-
last?
It's all right. Well,
I got it, I
because,
got it.
because I do know that when, some of the employees and Stacy went and reviewed it and stuff, ahead of time, so it needs some tuning up. But if the idea is a rollout by the first, I think really what we're trying to look for is the board support to progress, work forward, work on developing it. The big thing that popped up, I mean, this has been in the works, but it got pushed into overdrive because really what's happening is I'm getting a lot of complaints from the public, but also, and it all has to do with the funneling of information. Departments aren't in charge of their own website, because every department has its own, there's Public Works, there's PD, there's Fire, and they have personnel changes, they have things like that. But if they can't get in to control it with the permissions and things that are there, this one will allow, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Oh, yeah.
this one's going to allow us to disperse those permissions to the department heads, because I think ultimately the department head should be controlling the information they're funneling out of their specific departments. Like, office hours, fees, forms, being in control of what's current and updated. We have forms attached to all these different departments, but when one gets revised or one gets edited, it has to all funnel back through Josh, who may not be involved in the creation of the document or the editing of it, and not necessarily know, but I think the department head who's responsible for, those policies, procedures, documents, applications that are being utilized in their department should be able to swap those out, update those, and keep it current. And that's what we're really hoping to be able to do.
And the department heads are all on board with taking on that little added?
Yes, in the department head meeting, they were asking for it. They
Yeah.
were asking to be able to keep it current. And I don't know if Seth's nodding his head because he just agrees with me that much, or he doesn't.
He's gonna pull me aside when we go outside.
No, I think
Right.
that, I
There's
think
a lot of
they,
things that
overall, they
information that
were,
has to be upgraded
they were,
and made sure.
very in favor of being able to add and subtract things from their sites and maybe tailor them a little more, take more ownership. That's a better way to put it.
Okay.
Take more ownership of it.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, and I apologize if, I don't recall seeing an email with a
This is
separate.
it. If you scroll up a little bit, that's,
You'll even get a better mobile experience out of it, And the cost is minimal to the town, just literally a WordPress site with a theme. Hosting's cheaper. The current hosting for the existing site is, I think I budgeted $3,000 for it. We'd be bringing that down to like $600, it's just better technology. It works better on their cloud servers, and you don't need like a workhorse server to run the site. So.
So if it pleases the board, I got an idea that, now that, those of you who haven't had the opportunity to look at the email and the site, you guys can go on, take a look at it, and then next meeting, I will put it under, either old business or TA report to mention it, so we can talk about any suggestions you might have or comments. I can funnel those back to Josh, and then in a month or so, come back for more of a unveiling.
All right.
Sure.
Good.
How's that? Does that work all right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll attack it that way.
Sounds great.
All right.
Thanks.
John.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you very much, Josh. All right. Back to budgets.
Seth has been very patient.
He has.
He knew he was getting for a long haul tonight. I already warned him. He's all ready though. Come on up. When do you want to start with? You want to start with Public Works or?
Sure, yeah, dealer's choice.
That's the big one. That's the big one. That is the big one. Good evening, gentlemen.
How you doing, Seth?
So the Public Works budget is the biggest one of the bunch. A lot of the things from the other departments in the implementation of Public Works structure has been pushed into the DPW budget. A couple of these things are things that we've been trying to remerge over the past couple of years, but with the default vote, they end up going back to where they came from. So there's a lot of lines that have some changes, and there are a lot of lines that have a bunch of zeros because they've all moved. So, the largest change is the full-time wages.
Wages.
Yeah. That was with the 4%, as well as the intention of the floating truck driver. That would be essentially the roll-off truck operator. Those funds came from combining funds from the part-time positions, which were zeroed. So there was a part-time position that in total about 70,000. Combining some funds, moved that to the full-time wages for a full-time floating truck driver at 52,000.
Right.
And the overtime increase was driven partially by the floating truck driver overtime, whenever that might occur.
Yes, correct. It's all linear.
It's all part of it.
Recent experience, I assume.
Yeah, correct.
Chip seal stay the same?
Chip sealing is staying the same. I believe you're referring to
Yeah, 147, crack
140.
seal.
Crack seal, yes. I still have more money to come out of that. That is not our complete expenditure for the year. We do have a little bit more to come from that. The rest of the changes have been market adjustments and slight usage adjustments. So-
Gravel, it's gonna
Correct, yeah,
increase a
salt
little
and
bit,
water.
yeah.
Usage is all the same, it's just market adjustments for costs.
The catch basin cleaning went up quite a bit.
It did. Back when, this budget that we're still working with was formulated, I believe the hourly cost for a back truck was about $175 an hour. Now they're $250 and up for an hour of back truck. The cost I have figured there is at $275 an hour, which is what I was being, forecasted for next year.
You beefed up the miscellaneous
Yeah,
equipment
equipment
expenses quite a bit
expenses.
for the heavy equipment repairs.
So the miscellaneous equipment expenses, yes, that is one that took funds from a bunch of other lines. So some of those other lines was I moved 12,000 from vehicle maintenance line to the municipal equipment line. I also moved expenses that were previously used from the trailer expense line. There used to be a line for trailer expenses those funds were all moved in there. The chipper is another one that was its own line at one point that's been combined. So those funds did go drastically. Current year it was $4,500. Now it's $21,500. But that is combining other lines into that one line, just more.
You eliminated some lines.
Right, yeah.
And put that all in this
Little
miscellaneous.
consolidation.
Yes, yeah. There are still other miscellaneous equipment expenses in the other budgets, but those are more specific towards, just an example, the solid waste still has an equipment maintenance line, but that's for their mounted machinery that's never gonna move, the compactor, the baler,
yeah,
those
yeah,
type of
okay.
things.
And that vehicle fuel expense was obviously due to that 5,400 gallons of roll-off diesel.
Yep, the vehicle fuel expenses was increased. I figured that truck's gonna burn about 5,400 gallons in a year. It seems to be on track for that. It's getting
Yep.
about 5.5 miles a gallon right now. DEF is about 4% of fuel usage, so it's tracking pretty good in that.
The building expense line, window replacement?
Yeah, there's a couple windows at the Public Works building that are leaking, the sashes are rotted out of them, and there's a couple of them that need to be replaced, as well as a leak in the roof over the mechanic shop that we'd like to get addressed. That also, for the 309, their building expense, that also has been bumped up for the regular pumping on the floor drains. I'm not 100% sure where those funds were coming from before, but when we did have that tank pump just recently, it was $5,300 to pump that tank. So
Okay.
it all depends on the level of solids on what's in there, so
Yeah.
theoretically, that should be a worst-case scenario, but just so that we
Quite
we have it in there, yeah.
Yeah. It hadn't been done in who knows how long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It all goes by the level of solids, essentially what they take out. If it's mostly water, it's cheaper. If there's more oils and sediments in there,
Yeah.
it costs more
Yeah.
money.
And we, it says guardrail repairs and updates on 441. Are
Yep.
we, is there a different style of guardrail?
No, it's again, it's a industry update. As far as, that's 100 feet of guardrail and 4 attenuators at the end. And it's just a change in what they cost.
So for dust control, the magnesium chloride is gone up that much? Or is it that much more roads that you're doing?
It has gone up some, but it's been pretty flat, but yeah, that's just a little bit of increased use. We'd had a pretty dry summer, and
So would you do it more frequently?
yes, yeah, we've had a couple
So
of
you
stretches
use
of
more,
road. Yeah,
and you anticipate to do the same next year?
correct. I would like to.
In some of those areas?
Yeah.
How frequently were you doing it before?
2 to 3 times a year, and also, it all depends on usage, you know, the more traffic the road gets, the more the magnesium tends to leave it. Also, the more heavy rain we have tends to wash it away. I mean, it stays around for a long time, but can't always predict the weather, but the weather
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
play a heavy role in that.
And obviously, line painting went up, we knew that.
Yeah, that was just increasing the same usage of 50,000 feet of each single and double, 11 cents for single, 14 cents for double. That also includes the parking stalls and stuff that we do ourselves. That's just paint, filters, tips, things like that are also worked into that.
All right. Everything else? Lots wetland, yep, the running Richmond wetlands.
So again, most of the increases are for full-time wages.
Correct, that is the largest increase in
The overall budget is about 223,000 more,
yes, 223, 729.
729.
Yep.
Increase
Yep.
from last year.
But that's, just so you know, that's every full-time line merge. You'll see there's a reduction in cemetery, reduction in
Okay.
solid waste.
Solid
'cause
waste.
Okay, yeah.
All those employee
Okay.
wages, it's not just
Come out of
wage
hand.
increases, it's all the wage.
All in this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And removed out of the others.
Correct.
Yeah, solid waste
Okay.
center, all removed.
All right.
Any other questions for Seth? None?
Are there any of the items here, Seth, that you could justify shifting to one of the capital accounts? Or you've probably already looked at that.
Not really, no, I did look at it. I think that the next one, and it's honestly gonna vary from year to year, would be the crack seal. If for some reason we had an extreme amount of that for the next season, then I could move that where that is one of the larger ones, but, other than that, I think I'm fairly comfortable with the rest of it.
And just a curiosity question, if we have guardrails that require repair because somebody wasn't a very good driver, do we have a mechanism for collecting for damages from them or their insurance company?
Yes, we do. We actually did recently have a situation like that out on Valley Road, where we're working with their insurance company to reimburse the cost of the guardrails. Because it was a roadside hazard at that point when you have a bent up, mangled piece of guardrail from, a motor vehicle accident.
Sure.
Yeah, at that time, we do go after their insurance for it.
Any other questions?
I think so.
I will make a motion. We approve the 2026 DPW budget at $2,107,862.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, solid waste or which one you want?
Go to cemetery.
Cemetery?
That'll ease the pain after that one. All you need to know is it's one of the only budgets you will see a decrease in.
Right. Yes.
Was that because of an increase in life expectancy?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the 2026 budget for the cemetery for the sum of
$7,800.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
You, solid waste?
Solid waste.
Solid waste.
And as you see at the top, that's where all those dollar
Everything went
wage lines.
Yeah.
Those all got moved to that big one.
So solid waste does have a lot of lines, as Ryan stated, that got merged with Public Works, so a lot of them will be dropping off.
Somehow the budget still didn't go down.
The budget still, it did not go down. A lot of those lines were for $1, unfortunately. That being said, though, now that we have secured a new contract with Waste Management, keeping the
4320. I think said 40.
usage the same, so looking for $335 for disposal. Still, that's $100 a ton, keeping our usage the same. What we are luckily able to remove is the $283,920 that would have gone to transportation. That was the number I would have had to ask for this year to cover that $455 a load haul cost was $283,000. Keeping our average of 624 trips in mind. The answer to that is the truck lease payment of $59,658. So that lease payment you'll see in there has been broken up between the transportation costs on the lease purchase line on the solid waste, and the rest of it coming from the transportation out of the revolving. So 30,000 of it was from the vehicle lease purchase, which was added on there. That is 4324209. The remainder of that payment is on the revolving account under transportation.
So just to reiterate what he said, just because there's gonna be a hot topic when you guys go to deliberative, and the voting is, basically where that roll-off truck comes into play and where the savings was. So what was that, just to say that number again, that you would have been requesting for hauling, 200?
Yeah, so had we not purchased a roll-off truck, I would have been asking you guys for $283,920 just for transportation to cover those 624 trips to Rochester at $455 a load.
And that was 1 year.
So that would have
Right.
been a $200,000 increase just on those two line items.
Just transportation alone,
Right.
correct? Yeah.
That would have been crazy.
And this year out is 59,000.
59,658
Right.
to cover the.
And then
the
you have
lease.
some ancillary, because I've heard people out in the public say, well, you gotta pay the guy to drive it, and you're gonna do this, so you have some ancillary costs, but we're still saving, well over $150,000 in expenses, even with the cost of the driver, fuel, maintenance, everything.
Right.
It's huge.
The other thing is the iron, the tin, the scrap metal. We were getting $65 a ton for that before. We're now, the last couple loads have been $140 a ton, and we've actually been hauling them to Lambert's because they are offering us the best price. So it gives us that option to shop around for who's paying the most for this stuff. So if it makes sense and it's within, a distance that we can cover and it's feasible, we can make more money that way with it.
Do you think our fees for various waste disposal categories are in line and are justifiable?
I believe they are close. I do think that there's a couple changes that we can make as far as policy-wise, and I have been working with Scott up at the dump to go over those. It was asked at a meeting to evaluate that, whether we were charging enough to get rid of this stuff, and working on it. I'd like to get back to you guys soon with that.
I just realized, I know where.
Landfill monitoring,
Yep.
so it's basically down to nothing.
So the landfill monitoring is something that we will have to do forever, just to monitor the landfill cap. I feel it is the easiest way to go about it would be to use that out of the CRF, because the cost does go up and down every year. It's not always the same cost. This year, we were quoted by John Kizbicki, $17,500 to cover this year's groundwater management and landfill closure report monitoring. So where it does go up and down every year, I felt it would be best to ask for that in a warrant to put into the capital reserve. That way it can kind of cover that up and down from year to year. There's already some money in there.
We haven't established.
Yeah.
It was kind of redundant. We were putting money in the operating budget, but we had a capital reserve that had already been established. We just weren't putting money into it. So over the last couple of years, there's some money in there. We'll probably have to put some more in, but.
Right.
We've been paying for those services for the cap out of that.
Yeah.
Designated capital reserve.
Yeah.
If the results of the monitoring are consistently showing no issues, is there an opportunity for relief down the line?
I do not believe so. No, that's with us
It goes
forever until
forever.
it's gone. Yeah.
It's not showing relief though either.
No, as the state changes their standards, they do come out with new testing. The last jump was actually the PFAS testing. They changed the allowable amount, and when they did that, it came out with a new test. So it then cost you more to do that test. So,
No escape.
yeah, no, unless you haul the whole thing off. That's
You got a new truck.
Any other questions, gentlemen? All right, I make a motion, we approve the 2026 solid waste department budget at $394,641.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Cycling, revolving. What's next?
Household hazardous waste, is that part of your headache?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Recycling revolving?
Yeah, right here.
Cycle and revolve.
That is actually in the regular solid waste budget, though. It's not in the recycling revolving.
Yeah, that one's, recycling revolving is the same scenario as the ambulance revolving. Again, we go through it, we approve the projected expenditures, but again, this is being funded through the recycling revolving account from revenues.
Yep. Primarily in the form of the cardboard, the aluminum cans, the scrap metal, all the good things that we haul off, batteries.
That's solidly in the black.
Yep. See on there, the remaining portion of that roll-off lease, the 29,658 under
Yep, see it.
302. Yep.
I have the paperwork, but not the, item for it. Yeah. Public works, solid waste. Missing that one. It's not a big deal.
It's Chit. Under R? Yes. It's right here, revolving recycling.
Yeah, no, I know you got it.
8,000. 8,000.
No, that's not there.
You don't have the tab?
No, I don't care, it doesn't matter, I have the paperwork. I was just seeing if I had the tab in here.
I will make a motion to approve the 2026 budget recycling revolving fund for $111,201.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And I think your last one is grounds and maintenance, right?
Yes,
Grounds and
that's
maintenance.
correct.
Grounds and maintenance, again, it has a lot of lines that were shortened, condensed, or removed
Mhm.
into Public Works. Again, went through them trying to keep everything as level or less as possible.
New equipment, which is string trimmers and 36-inch mower.
Yeah, one of the zero-turn mowers, one of the smaller Husqvarna ones, not the large Gravely, is experiencing problems. It got the most use out of the two, you know, instead of being broken up, that one was used more heavily, so it does have quite a bit more usage on it. Would look to replace that one. I have a couple quotes just shopping around of around that to replace that unit with a commercial unit.
Town hall fuel went up quite a bit. 9,304.
304.
We went from 4,700 to 10,000.
Yeah, so that was based off of last year's usages and the new provided rate. This was a new system, if I'm correct.
Yeah, there was a 1,000-gallon tank that got put in, but there's 3 high-efficiency boilers, and so we did see a good reduction in electric costs when we took the mini split.
I saw that.
But, so we kind of recouped some of it out of electric, but our fuel consumption is bigger because
It's
of the,
tick for tack.
yeah, the air handlers.
Yeah, right here, electric.
And Laura keeps turning the thermostat up.
The rest of a lot of the grounds and maintenance budget was reduced in the electric.
Yes, I see
In the
that.
electric costs. A lot of them were from that, you know, ramp up scare from a couple of years ago.
Gonna do some work at the Pearson Road Community Center?
Yes, yeah, a lot of we did recently replace 3 of the doors. 2 of them were from safety concerns that arose from the JLMC meetings as far as being egresses, the way they were set up. And so those were replaced, but the decking on the back does need to be repaired, quite a bit of it. So a lot of that cost is to rebuild the deck off the back, walkways, things like that.
Handstand electric one way back.
I guess it did.
Yeah, looking back over the past couple of years, for a lot of that cost is the aquatherms, electricity for running those on the town docks.
You would turn them down.
Again, going back and looking at the usages over the years, that comfortable reducing it.
Quite an increase in Ginny Douglas Park with mulch, paint, and what, Christmas lights?
Yeah, a lot of the Christmas lights that were for that particular park do need to be replaced. A lot of them were kind of tired.
Paint is mostly just the gazebo, right?
Yeah.
more questions about grounds and maintenance, gentlemen?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the grounds and maintenance budget for $140,093.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 41. Gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for being patient.
Oh, well,
All right, I got two for you. Insurance and benefits.
Insurance.
Just a little budget.
Which one are we looking at?
You got benefits administration and insurance. So we can go to insurances first because it's a small budget. There's only 5 lines.
What number is that?
That is,
4196.
yep.
Got it. Six.
For a while, all the tabs looked.
Yeah, they do.
We knew this, these
Yeah.
were just coming, we thought it would come.
4190.
Well, this budget here with insurances are, you know, pretty much a given a rate from Primex. With our increases, it's not really something that we set, something they set for us, unless we decide to leave Primex and the insurance group. But overall, the increases are not crazy. You got workers' compensation went from 177,818 to 189,370. Now, mind you, actually, that 177,818 is still default, 2 years default. So there's been increases for 2 years from Primex that aren't reflected in this budget. Or aren't reflected in the 25 numbers. Same thing, property liability insurance, that's a 3-year, that's a jump since 2023. So really, when you take those kind of increases, into consideration for considering property insurance.
Yeah.
We got out of it cheap compared to the rest of the country with some of these natural disasters and fires and everything else.
Any questions on this, gentlemen?
I'll make a motion to approve the 26 budget for insurance at $363,420.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes.
Thank you.
All right.
So then we're on to benefit.
4155, benefit administration.
And I will say that I am pleased to report that benefits, even though they're big numbers, only has an increase of 1.58%.
That's pretty amazing.
It is, and I will say it's due to the hard work of the ladies that put together that anthem sort of absorption when we lost the New Hampshire Health Trust. Because we got locked in at, I don't know if you remember, we got locked in at 3% for 16 months. Almost a year and a half, but 3% is unheard of. When we've been looking at like 21% increases from year to year. So that's your big increases is, our Medicare went down, FICA's down, and that's a decrease due to full-time, additions that do not pay FICA.
Slight increase for health and dental.
Yeah, health and dental's got that increase.
So,
Then you got one, New Hampshire retirement for police employees. Those are all wage driven. So those increases obviously go up every time there's a pay increase. And then the 457 benefit plans is a slight increase. Fire The rate change, Laura, the rate change to 29.15, is that a decrease from current or an increase? Went down this time. I know they fluctuate between up and down between fire and police in group two. And then group one, they alternate everything. So that one's a decrease. Cause I'm thinking, the new positions that came in out of the Warren article, they're absorbed into that, right? Okay.
More questions, gentlemen?
Oh, I think, thanks to our office people, we dodged a bullet.
Yes.
Then I will make a motion, we approve the 2026 benefit administration budget at $2,841,118.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Budget passes.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's all we got for budgets today. Actually,
That's it?
that's it.
It's getting warmed up here.
We're done, other than tabled and follow-up item, we're done.
Okay.
We're moving on to, you'll see, next meeting, hope to have the, default budget all prepared and ready for you. There won't be much
Okay.
with that, but a couple things, changes in elections, things that are by law. But other than that, it's pretty much gonna be consistent with what this year's budget is.
All right.
Excellent.
So, budget preparations, town administrator reports. Not be long.
No, actually, I don't have anything for you.
What?
Nope.
Andy's gonna be so upset.
I know, he missed it, so I'm gonna spare you guys. I'll save my report for him.
Selectmen reports and questions. Mr. Carter, down the end there.
Been a long day. I actually don't have anything. I missed that last meeting for conservation.
Mr. Shea?
Yes, just a couple of things, I wonder, when we do the town, report, the annual report, if I should provide a separate section for the swap shop, or if it could be included in the, hazardous waste, landfill report. I think we've got a nice story to tell there, and I'd like to tell it.
What do you think about, just to throwing this out there for your consideration? What do you think about, talking to the women that were a key part of putting that together to see if they're interested? I mean, I don't wanna burden them with something, but they were so successful and passionate about it, they might really like the opportunity to put together a summary, cause I know like the levy park trustees and stuff, they just submitted one for the town report too.
Yeah,
And stuff, so.
they actually, they've worked something up in general, and I'm sure that they would be delighted to have it reviewed and accepted, and I think it tells the story nicely. The zoning amendments committee has done a lot of work, and I think they're scheduled, you'd know this better
Yep.
than I would.
At the next planning board meeting. Yep.
Yeah,
We're
that's
gonna
gonna be a
present
long
them.
meeting.
It is gonna be a long meeting.
Yeah. I
Bring your
wondered,
coffee.
given I think that the Route 11 effort went quite well, and I wonder if it would be appropriate for us to send the state highway guys a letter saying, thanks for making it on time, doing a nice job, and handling a tough situation. As far as I know, it went better than I thought it would go by far.
Yeah, they did well.
And I'm sure most of the letters they get are not in that vein.
Are you going to that closeout meeting or anything?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
So, if you don't mind, if the board's okay with Seth expressing our gratitude?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
Because I knew there was a closeout meeting, so. Is it on site here or in DOT?
Otherwise, the milfoil, we got the final results from the state. Everything has come out quite well. So going forward, I think we'll have a good case for a reasonable budget request and good case as far as having controlled the darn stuff.
Very nice.
Very good.
Mr. LaRochelle?
I have nothing else at this time.
And you stole my thunder with the ZAC committee, so let's, yeah, we're ready to present. All right, moving on down. Approval of minutes from October 28, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 28, 2025.
Second it.
Wow, all
Third.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. All right, consent agenda approval. Do we have any issues with the consent? Whoa,
Right here.
what?
No, she was asking.
Oh, consent agenda approval.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda for November 12th, 2025 as presented.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Beautiful.
Aye.
We have no discretionary action on requests for appointments, so I will now open it up to public input 2, limited to 5 minutes per person on any governmental or town business. Hey, Donna.
Good evening.
I don't know.
Good evening. Again, my name is Donna Richardson. First thing, to everyone, the budget work is incredible, absolutely incredible. The details this year that have been picked up are significant. And Mr. Shea, I'm really glad to hear you say, excuse me, that you'd like to hear something from the Swap Shop group, because I think that was a huge, huge bonus in our community. So I'm glad to see that. Minimally, maybe it could go into the town report with some of the other things. My primary purpose here this evening is to follow up with you on my many conversations with you from the summer of 2023, when I repeatedly came to you to ask how and when the town was going to begin more systemically enforcing building codes and regulations as related to an abutter of mine, as well as some of the other situations we had in town. Over the last 2 years, it has become patently clear to me that this is not going to happen. I also, at the time, asked the town how it was going to help me return our property rights. To date, we have had no answers to this situation either. Here's a very brief summary of the situation. An abutter sought a ZBA variance for a building. We were not notified as abutters. The variance was granted, even though that meant that the building was going to be on and utilities running through my family property. Those actions took away family property rights. The variance very clearly stated that the building was to remain unfinished. You can see that in the ZBA minutes of January the 3rd, 2019. Not only is the building finished, but it has a bathroom that is not part of the septic design. Late July, early August 2023, I filed a formal complaint, as I seemed not to be getting anywhere with any of our discussions here. In October of 2023, here at a select board meeting, I was told that my family did not own the property and that the Board of Select would not hear anything more about the situation, thus ignoring the building violations and further taking away rights of my family and family property. Spring of 2024, a survey and a deep dive into property records and deeds proved that my family does in fact own the property, as we had long said. In that process, we had to begin negotiations with our abutter as to which survey would stand with Belknap County. All of 2024, I continued to try to work with the code officer to look into, minimally, the bathroom in the finished building, primarily because the septic design didn't support it. In December of 2024, I finally had an appointment with the code officer, and they thought that the date on my complaint was wrong because it was 17 months old. It wasn't wrong. That's how long it had been sitting there, and nobody had taken a look at it. When the scope of the situation became clear to the code officer, I was told, let me look into it. Summer 2025 begins, and still no visit from the code officer or any follow-up. After several visits to the building department, the code officer told me that I was being a bully and that the town administrator would take over my file. In my meeting with the town administrator, I was asked what my one chief complaint was in a file that is multiple inches thick with multiple violations. My primary concerns were a bathroom, a finished building, and no certificate of occupancy for that building. The code officer finally came to visit the abutter and confirmed that yes, in fact, there is a bathroom there and it needed to be disabled and/or a new septic design needed to be submitted. That was on the 21st of August this summer, which is more than 2 years after my written notice to the town. The house is now for sale and is probably going to be closed on this week. My question tonight becomes, what becomes of the litany of these ongoing violations? How can you transfer a property that lacks a CO? The finished living space that never got approval for an additional variance, whose responsibility does it become? In all of that, there remains no return of my family's property rights. This week, finalized documentation that returns the errantly claimed property was filed and returned it to my family. It is now on file with Belknap County, and I will provide the appropriate papers tomorrow to the planning department. This, too, does not give us back our rights for our property, and those still haven't been addressed. The town gave away those rights by not notifying us as abutters and then by not addressing any of the violations since then. It appears that certain codes that are publicly stated are not being uniformly enforced.
5 minutes are up.
This is not an isolation to my situation. We have multiple businesses on Main Street that are doing things that they are not grandfathered for. We have trade workers being sent away from job sites while doing things like carpentry simply because an electrical permit hasn't been issued yet. We have 10-foot fences where the town code says we have an 8-foot requirement.
Donna, your 5 minutes are up. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Anybody else from public input?
Do we have the authority as a board to grant additional time in a case like this for someone to speak?
If we choose to, yes.
I would move that we allow that, or at least allow another 3 minutes or some reasonable limitation. I just hate to cut off anybody.
Come on back up.
Hope you didn't lose your place, Don.
Stacy, I can give it to you written tomorrow, too. This is not isolated to my situation. We have the businesses, blah, blah, blah. This creates a huge perception problem in our town. The message that our town is sending out is that codes are selectively enforced. Maybe it's about who you know. Maybe it's about how much do you give. Maybe it's about a strong personality trying to assert what's right and making waves in the community. Whatever it is, it's creating a very, very big problem because perceptions turn into realities. I have previously asked to discuss this in non-public session with the Select Board, and I have been turned down because, quote, there is nothing new to discuss. That, again, is part of the problem. Telling me that there's nothing new to discuss means that no investigation into the alleged violations has taken place. It's not just me, it's our town. We're not looking good right now. We need uniformity in enforcement. We need transparency in the process. And my family wants to know how our town is going to return our property rights. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the additional time this evening. Thank you.
Mr. O'Brien?
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I apologize. I'm not around on Tuesday nights generally, so I haven't been able to attend many of your meetings. But as you know, Patrick O'Brien, I live on 140. I just, again, wanted to thank you all for all the work you're doing on the budget. Obviously, we've got a mountain ahead of us, and I think being very critical of every line is how we're going to get through this. I've heard a lot about a voter's guide. is that something that is going to be handled at like the administration level between you folks? Because I understand everybody's plates are very full. Or is that something that you're going to be looking to scrounge up some volunteers for?
Yeah, at the last department head meeting, I talked to the department heads about scrounging up, either any of their employees or the department heads themselves to, because who better knows the situations they're being faced with? I don't really, we don't really want to write something up other than the total picture, where departments who have specific challenges, going to be looking to solicit, clips or anything you guys want to add to that, so.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm limited as to how I can participate. As you know, I've been on various boards since like 2017, but obviously being an employee, that complicates things. But just throwing it out there, if that becomes the case, I'd be happy to volunteer. And again, thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no other public participation, we have no non-public session this evening.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There it is.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Signatures.
Signatures.
Right now. So yes, these to be signed as